Hey everyone, meteorologist Eric Sibley coming to you from WDSU First Warning Weather. We have a brand new tornado warning that was just issued from the National Weather Service, and as you can see, this particular tornado cell embedded just to the west of us here, but Tangipahoa Parish is currently under that tornado warning, and again, that's going to go until 9 p.m. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit tighter towards where we have this particular tornado warned storm. And again, this is until 9 for Tangipahoa Parish. But you see this here. In fact, what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and draw this out here for you just to give you a better perspective. Right near Pine Grove, it looks to be some rotation happening there right now. And this is tracking its way towards the east. So we'll be staying on the air here for you until this threat here is over, but right near Pine Grove, mainly to the west, is tracking its way towards the east, and that is where we do have a tornado that is currently on Doppler radar. So let's go ahead and go to some of our other parameters here and show you what's going on. And you see back here on the radar perspective of things, how does this look? Well, maybe not as impressive from what we just saw from the velocity standpoint, where we were just looking for the rotation, but what we're watching though here, where you see this blinking polygon, again, that's the tornado warning. So near Pine Grove and Jack and areas just south of there, possibly looking at some embedded rotation. But from right where we can tell right now, this definitely looks like a lot of heavy rain, some gusty wind, and some hail that's currently moving through. So I mentioned that there is some gusty winds coming down here. So let's go ahead and query some of these locations out here and give you a better idea of what may be happening possibly near the ground. And you see what we could be looking at between 50, even look at that, 60 mile per hour winds potentially within this storm. And as I move the map here a little bit out just to show you 50, 60, let's look at some other locations here as a good example to see what kind of a wind speed. So again, look at that 40, 50, 55, and just over 60 mile per hour winds coming in from the west. So regardless if this is producing a tornado or not, there's a lot of very strong gusty winds coming in, moving towards the east into the general direction now of Montepeller and also Independence and Roseland. So I mentioned those other communities out there that are in our viewing area to the east. So let's go ahead and time this out in terms of storm cones. So I believe let's look at the motion here with this particular storm. Just looking at our neighbors coming in from the national, or partners rather, coming in from the National Weather Service. This cell is moving towards the east at 35 miles an hour. So let's look at a storm cone. What we're going to do is we're going to zoom this out a little bit, because what we want to see is a better perspective from a cone to allow us to draw this out, because if we're too zoomed in, we're not going to be able to get it too much. So here we go. Here's 16 over 20, and we're going to go 35, I believe I said. Yeah, there we go. So that cell, again, moving east at 35 miles an hour. Here are some communities, and we're going to zoom in here once again to give you a better idea of who may be impacted as I name out some of these other communities here for you. And you see towards, again, Montepeller 837, there's Hillsdale at 841, Amite 852, Millard's at 852 as well. Roseland, 853. We talked about Independence, 853. That is when you can expect this tornado cell to be moving into your neighborhood. Holton at 907 and Folsom at 924. Pine Cliff at 931. So that is what we're currently looking at in terms of this. Let's go ahead and loop this out over the last 15 minutes or so. And you see that west to east motion. So this is what I'm looking at here, this little notch. And this looks like it's rather impressive. I really think that we do have some rotation within that, definitely. I mean, we do have that tornado warning for sure, but I think we might have a little something here, and also along with some embedded very strong gusty winds, and I mentioned that. So let's go ahead and query out some of those spots here again, because this little bright green spot, look at that, 80 mile per hour wind gust potentially with this, and then you see 32, but notice the drop off there in between, 63 and 75. Wow, that is very strong wind, and the radar isn't too far away, because if we move the map here a little bit, The radar is back down here, back to the southeast in Hammond. So we're looking up here a little bit in the sky, not too far away. And this signals to me that we do have a lot of very hefty wind that's coming in, regardless if this is a tornado warning storm or not. I'm just checking in to see if we do have any damage reports coming in. All right, let's see here. So they are continuing the tornado warning, the damage threat considerable here. All right, so we do have an observed tornado. Is that right? Yeah, we do. Okay, so this is brand new information. We do have a radar confirmed tornado. We're going to move the map now. This is a brand new tornado warning that was just issued. So we're not looking at this one now. We are now looking at the one to the north, where you see this blinking polygon here, change of color. So this is a confirmed tornado warning that we have right now. In fact, what I want to show you is see if we have any possible debris with this particular storm. And we're going to go over to what's called the debris correlation coefficient and see if we're watching to see if we have anything that's non-meteorological. So maybe stuff that could be lofted into the air from the ground. And right now, from what I see, I don't really see maybe what could be somewhere in here, potentially near State Road and 440. But I think we might be able to get a better perspective on the storm relative velocity. In other words, we're looking for that rotation marker. So watching along State Road 440 and State Road 441, we do have an observed radar confirmed now tornado. And this particular tornado, let's see, since this is brand new, this is moving to the southeast at 40 miles an hour. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Okay, so we have what's called a PDS tornado warning with this. So in a particularly dangerous situation, that means that this is a life-threatening storm that we have here in our hands right now, capable of producing damage, power outages, and injuries. So we want to take this cell seriously. So what we're going to do is, again, moving southeast at 40 miles an hour. National Weather Service is saying that a confirmed, a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado was located near Greensburg and moving southeast at 40 miles an hour. All right, so we have a pretty serious situation right now on our hands. So let's go ahead and time out some locations that could be within this. And again, because this is moving so quick, I have to zoom this map out to show you some communities that could be impacted. So we talked about this moving to the southeast. Let's just do 40 here. I might have to move this out again because it's just so, so far away. All right. So let's zoom out this map a little bit more here. I know this is going to be pretty far, but once we get the storm track on here, I'll be able to give you some better community. So again, we said southeast, so let's do 40 miles an hour, 39 is fine here. Now we're going to go ahead and zoom back a little bit more. And just to give you a rough estimate, who might be coming in. So Tangipahoa at 8:36. Tangipahoa, if you are in this storm right now, or this storm is approaching you, you want to make sure that you take shelter immediately. We have a confirmed large and dangerous tornado that is moving towards you. Fluker at 8:38, Wilmer at 8:50, Halton at 8:54, Franklinton at 9:08, so just after 9 there, moving into the far north shore spots. Pine Cliff 9:12, Folsom at 9:14, and Zona at 9:17. So again, we have two tornadoes that we're currently watching right now. We have a particularly dangerous situation with this tornado for the far north shore, and that does include north central Tangipahoa Parish at this time. Just to the south, we have another tornado warning that we talked about, this one also for Tangipahoa Parish, until 9 o'clock this evening. And I'm looking to see if we have any other imagery that might be coming in. National Weather Service is saying that they see that a clear debris signature moving east-southeast toward I-55 towards Fluker. And the circulation is just south of Montepeller, trying to wrap back up. They don't see any debris with this yet. Okay, so they're talking about that one to the south. So we got 2 tornado warnings that we're currently watching for you right now. And I do want to show you what we also have going on as far as the regional standpoint goes here. Let's go over to WDSU first warning Doppler radar, see how well this is picking it up here. And yeah, look at this. You know, you see a little bit of some tightening here with this little notch that's coming in. So we were able to see that from both our WDSU first warning Doppler radar and also the Weather Service radar coming in from Hammond, both showing a pretty good circulation standpoint with these particular 2 cells that we're currently watching. So what else is happening as far as a regional standpoint here? Well, we do have, you know, a lot of us looking pretty dry, including the New Orleans Metro. And if you are in the North Shore towards Washington Parish and St. Tammany, got a couple of light showers there, a couple of light sprinkles towards South Mississippi. While the rest of us are dry, but again, we're just watching, keeping a close eye on what is a pretty concerning event with these 2 tornado warnings, one tagged as a particularly dangerous situation, all associated with this strong line of thunderstorms that continue to move its way towards the east. We also do have a severe thunderstorm warning out for Tangipahoa Parish. This is really for the majority of Tangipahoa Parish now into western Washington Parish, and that's going to go until 9:15. I believe that's going to go till 9:15 for Washington Parish as well. So if you're just joining us, it's currently 8:30. You're watching WDSU First Warning weather coverage on a WDSU First Warning weather alert day. We are tracking a strong line of showers and thunderstorms moving through. There are 2 tornadoes that we're currently watching right now. One just south of Kentwood. This is our particularly dangerous situation. We have another one just south of there. So 2 tornado warnings that we're currently watching, both of them approaching I-55. And we're zooming in now. And you see, if you are in Tangipahoa, if you are in Fluker, absolutely, you need to be seeking shelter right now. This is coming in here for you. Do not travel on I-55. Hold off until these line of strong thunderstorms exits the area. So let's go ahead and look at the circulation standpoint again here, because I noticed that we were looking at some pretty significant areas of some possible rotation with this. And again, look at that. Yeah, this is pretty impressive stuff that we're seeing here right now. Just west of I-55, we're going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit tighter here. And you see near State Road 10, that is where we likely do have something going on there as far as the tornado standpoint is concerned. Any type of debris that might be being lofted into the air, I don't really see like a very clear signature. Which is good. If anything, we might have something around here. But again, this is, you know, a lot of this really, from what I can tell you right now, appears to be very strong wind. So let's go ahead and query some of these spots. And again, you know, listen, I would not be surprised if we have any significant damage come in just from these strong wind speeds alone. I mean, just over 50. We saw earlier the radar estimates of, you know, 70 to 80 mile per hour wind speeds with this. So this is very strong wind coming into the North Shore, into North Tangipahoa Parish, and you need to be seeking shelter right now. They are continuing the tornado warning. All right, so they are saying tornado debris signature not evident anymore with the circulation northwest of Roseland. So now that warning has now been downgraded to a base tornado warning. Okay, that's good news. So that is very good news to share. However, regardless though, like I mentioned, because regardless if it's not a tornado or not, it's still very strong, hefty wind coming in. Like we talked about, just over 50 mile per hour winds coming into the North Shore. We're going to keep you posted if we have any damage reports. I'll let you know. But as of right now, again, just to give you another quick update on what we have here, if you're just joining us, confirmed tornado warning, Tangipahoa Parish, 8:45. And this is also for 8:45 here. I know we got a couple of warnings and it gets a little bit confusing, but some of these are also updated here, keep in mind. So what we're going to do is I want to show you this other tornado warning too, just south. So we're looking at towards Velma and Independence I-55. We have that other tornado warning. That's going until 9. So in less than a half hour, this should be expired unless this potentially does something, because that looks a little bit interesting here too, just south of Montepeller. And I know this is outside of the viewing area. However, this is moving towards us near Georgeville. So we're looking at very strong winds coming in potentially with that. So let's check that out. Okay, so now there's a brand new update. Now it's not going to be as strong. But you see 40-mile-per-hour winds coming in from the west. There's 58 where it gets a little bit stronger, closer towards the confirmed tornado warning that we have right now in place. So really what we have to be keeping a close eye on is this confirmed tornado warning that we still have in effect for Tangipahoa Parish, and that's going to go again until 8:45 in the evening. Now saying a new debris signature now evident southwest of Fluker. So let's go ahead and zoom in towards Fluker. We're going to turn this tag off here. All right, southwest of the Fluker area. And again, that is going to be approaching highway or I-55. Okay, so I see what they're talking about. It's this area here, what we're watching for possible rotation. So let's look at the debris. Okay, yep, there it is. Here it is. Just south to southwest of Fluker, Arcola Road. That's where we do have some circulation. So just around Arcola Road, just north of Arcola, that's what we got going on there. There is that possible tornado, or at least, no, it's confirmed tornado, I should say. There we have that confirmed tornado, at least by radar. I don't believe we have any confirmed tornado from on the ground from an observer or a chaser, but we do have confirmed tornado based off radar imagery alone. And this is really neat when we have, all these tools that we can play with here at WDSU to show you, what we have as far as, tornado warnings, anything that may contain debris. We're showing it to you here right now, just near the Fluker area. So this is where it's at. Currently near Arcola Road. Again, if you are in Arcola, you need to be seeking shelter right now. Again, this is moving towards the southeast. And I just want to see if we update any of the tracks on this. They canceled the tornado warning for St. Helena. That's out of the viewing area there. All right, so this is, let's see here. Just getting some more information. Okay, so this cell, again, moving to the east at 35, so that kind of looks like to me it might have slowed down a little bit. But regardless, let's do a storm track here for you. I have to zoom out because it's just, it's too far here, so I got to draw this out as best I can. So what we'll do is we'll turn on the storm cone, and we'll time this out here at 35. I might have to, well, maybe not. I might have to back it up. But there we go. So there we go. So 35 miles an hour. We'll go ahead and zoom in towards our communities again, where we had the debris circulation, and we got to go back up here again. So there is where we're finding that tornado debris signature. So again, if you are in any of these communities, Holton 851, Folsom at 913, Zona at 919, Willis at 921, Covington at 930. If you are in any of those spots, get to your safe place right now, okay? If you're on the North Shore, you really got to be taking this thing very, very seriously. Again, we have a confirmed radar-indicated tornado just near Fluker, south of Fluker. And again, this is moving towards the southeast here at 30, just over 30 miles an hour, 35 to be exact. They are continuing the tornado warning until 8:45, according to the latest update here, and we see it being tagged 8:45. There it is for Tangipahoa Parish. So very, very, very impressive storm, unfortunately, that we have right now. And again, look at this. Wow, this is very, very impressive from a wind standpoint too. We're going to zoom in a little bit more. Make sure I'm getting the button there correctly here. Okay, so south of Fluker. Hearing information coming off the printer as well. I'm going to keep you updated here. Look at that. 97-mile-per-hour winds. Yeah, there's definitely something there. Yeah, we got a tornado. 50, 97 mile per hour, 55 to 97, 79 mile per hour winds. And embedded within this is some straight line winds along with an embedded tornado. So, this thing is just we call it a QLCS, so it's a very strong, it's a very long line of thunderstorms, strong thunderstorms coming in, and embedded within that, you can get these brief spin-ups. Now, unfortunately, with this thing, it's packing a punch, and we're going to see how long this can last here. But usually, when you have these squall line tornadoes like this, they don't particularly last too long. But regardless, we're going to keep it here, keep you updated on the very latest as this continues to evolve. Over 90-mile-per-hour winds coming into Fluker right now, coming into Arcola Road, the city of Arcola. This is just north of you if you're in Roseland. Regardless, though, get to your safe spot right now. This is a very, very serious storm. There it is, just to the southeast now of Fluker, tracking its way towards the southeast. It's going to be approaching, looks like South River Road, and Highway 10 now coming in as well. Yeah, this is a pretty serious situation that we got up here right now. So we're going to stay up here we're going to stay with you here during this event as it continues to evolve. Let's see, just getting more information coming in. All right, they're going to continue that tornado warning again. I don't see any more information popping up. Let's go to our radar standpoint. Yeah, so now we're seeing it here too. You see this this couplet that's taking place. So this is what we call the reflectivity. We're seeing rain, we're seeing hail, right? We're not watching the winds with this. We're watching what's happening with the rain and the hail. But you know, we're seeing that rotation again around here being wrapped up into the tornado. So all the rain, the hail being wrapped around what could be, well, what is that center there, or that tornado rather. So yeah, so we have a lot of rain and hail and also very strong damaging winds moving into north central Tangipahoa Parish right now. Again, this is a radar confirmed tornado moving towards the east and southeast here at this time. So let's go ahead and play this out just to give you an idea from the last 15 minutes. It started back to the west near Greensburg and then moved its way towards the east into Tangipahoa, where again, very strong winds just pummeled I-55 and now into Fluker. So if you're in Fluker, again, hopefully you're in your safe spot. If you're watching us on our live stream, which by the way, if you download the WDSU mobile app, you can watch us there live from your safe spot as this continues to move towards the east. We have a severe thunderstorm warning also in effect. I'm going to widen this out here a little bit to show you. This is a pretty broad severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Tangipahoa Parish until 9:15. And it looks like, yeah. Okay, now we have another tornado warning. Looks like this is let's see if this was updated or not. Okay, so yeah, okay, they're shrinking. It's not a brand new tornado warning. They're just shrinking that original polygon that's north of the confirmed tornado warning right now. So let's go ahead and stop this out, press now, and we're going to go to our, we're going to go back to what we had here before in terms of our velocity product. I want to show you the power outages here shortly, but I do want to get you back to our Hammond radar to show you what the velocity here looks like when we're watching for possible rotation within this thing. And again, yeah, this wind is screaming right now coming in towards Roseland, and it looks like Highway 10 coming in here. Just went through Arcola and Roseland. So let's go ahead and query some of these spots out here. So near Arcola, just over 90 mile per hour winds, 88 mile per hour winds. We got, wow, there's significant wind coming. Oh, man, 116. Holy crap. That is insane right now what we have. Yeah, this is a pretty powerful system that we got right now coming in. I'm going to go ahead and clear this map out because I know sometimes this gets a little bit confusing. But right now what we're looking at is very intense wind from a line of thunderstorms coming in with an embedded possible rotation of a tornado coming in towards Arcola, or just pass through Arcola rather. Let's go ahead and get back to, I want to clear this out, the debris here. And I'm going to play this out last 15 minutes because I know sometimes it can get a little bit confusing with the data, but there it was. And now it looks like it's cycled down a little bit as far as the debris is concerned. So near Fluker, there it was. And now as it moved east, it kind of shrunk a little bit, which is good. We don't want to see this expand. But if you look a little bit closely, okay, so you see it coming near that little circle there, and then it moves towards the east near Highway 1054. It looks like there could be possible 2 debris signatures there, but you know that's not as defined as what we had back to the west here. So let's go ahead and stop this out. So again, it started back to the west near Fluker. It traveled its way east. It cycled up and down again, and then there's a little bit of what could be some possible rotation near Highway 1054. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit more, because I think this is where we do have that broad area of rotation. Because again, if anything, now from what it appears to be, from my opinion, is that this is a little bit more broad now in nature. The debris is still there, but it wasn't as defined as what it was. So you see Highway 1054, Bryce Hyde Road. That is where we are looking at the debris that's currently coming down right now. Along with, again, we just saw winds from 90 to over 100 miles an hour. That's coming in right now towards Tangipahoa Parish. So we got a lot going on in terms of that. I mean, this is a very, very impressive storm. You need to be seeking shelter right now if you're in northern Tangipahoa Parish. This is a very serious event that we have right now in our hands, and we're going to get back to our Hammond radar. I want to show you what's happening in terms of that, because it is closer rather than our WDSU first warning radar, which we'll get to here shortly. But there it is. So you saw that tornado warning that has been dropped, and they likely dropped it because the debris signature was not as pronounced. But there again, you see. So now it was a confirmed tornado. Now they just have it as just a regular base tornado warning. That's going to go until 9:30. So it's still there, just wasn't as pronounced. We have a brand new tornado warning. This is a confirmed radar indicated. All right, so here we go again this is for Washington Parish now. It just touches Washington Parish. Let's zoom out this map here, give you a better idea of what's happening. All right, so this is very impressive too. We're going to zoom in a little bit tighter. You see just northwest of Bailey and around State Road 1056. Here's what I'm looking at. This little notch here, okay? This is likely where we do have our tornado. So what we're going to do is let's get back to our severe weather parameters. I'm going to show you the velocity on this thing. And yeah. Okay, so here we go. Right in here is likely where we do have our tornado. That's currently happening right now. Let's look at the debris. We see what might be something there, but let's time this out here, see if we can better track this thing in more detail. Okay, so it looks like we might have had something come through there, and then it's just cycling up and down here is what it's doing. So, and this is, you know, pretty typical for a straight line windstorm to contain isolated tornadoes. You might have some of these quick, brief spin-ups that might pop up, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now in terms of the radar perspective of things here currently. I want to go back to the velocity because this shows us a little bit better in more detail on what's happening rather than the debris tracker here at this time. So we have a confirmed tornado. This is breaking weather here on WDSU once again for Washington Parish until 9:15. Let me see if we do have any more information. We do not. They're just talking about that new tornado warning being issued downstream from Roseland. Surge. Okay, so yeah, they're mentioning this one here until 9:15. So let's look at to see what type of winds we might have with this thing. And near State Road, look at that, 83 mile per hour wind, 73. Yeah, this is very strong wind coming in right now. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a storm track on this to get a better perspective on things in terms of you know, who could be next in line here. So if you are currently just north of Bailey, seek shelter right now. Get to the lowest floor of your home or business. There is a confirmed tornado warning on the ground right now. towards Highway 1056, and it's just south of 1056 here too. This is what I'm looking at. This shows up a lot better on the reflectivity from what I can tell right now. And again, this is moving towards the southeast. I'm going to look at the forward motion on this so that way we can draw things out here. It's moving to the east here, moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. So again, we're going to have to zoom this out here, and I'll zoom back in, but I got to zoom out here to show you what's happening. So again, this is moving towards the east at 30. We might have to, yeah, we're going to have to zoom this out again. All right, so we'll zoom out further more. And let's see, that's probably a good range to do so. So let's go ahead and do that storm track again. Let's see if we can maybe, yep, there we go. That's a little bit better. So it's moving towards the east. I'd probably say more so east-southeast there. All right, so Clifton 909, Franklinton 914. Get to your safe spot right now. Get to the lowest floor of your home or business because we do have a tornado, a radar-confirmed tornado that's just west of you. And I know this is pretty far away at this time, but if we zoom in here, you'll see that it's not that far away from you here right now. So again, moving towards the east, if you are in Clifton, it's coming to you at 909. Franklinton, it's coming towards you at 914. Pine just before 930. Sheridan just after 930. State Line 937. And Lee's Creek at 950. Varnado at 951. Lakeview at 953 and Angie at 953. So there are some towns here for you. This is where the tornado is going. Make sure to get to your lowest floor of your home or business. Stay away from windows. Get to an interior closet and stay away from those windows at the same time. So that's what we are tracking here right now for you folks. It is currently 8:50, 10 minutes before 9. Again, you're watching WDSU First Warning Weather, a weather alert day. We are tracking 2 tornado warnings at this time. We have 1 confirmed tornado warning across extreme northeast Tangipahoa Parish and also now into Washington Parish, western Washington Parish. And we're watching again this couplet here that's just near Bailey. And this is again moving towards the east. If you're in Bailey, I really hope you're in your safe spot right now because this is going to continue to move towards the east here, towards the state roads of 450, 1056, and that looks like Peterson Road as well. All right, let's get to the other tornado warning that's just to the south. I don't want to forget about you guys here in Holton. You're also under the tornado warning. This is until 9:30. This is a different storm, but it's still associated with the line of strong thunderstorms that is coming in right now. So that's what we're looking at here currently. They are canceling, let's see, tornado warning for North Livingston and West Central Tangipahoa Parish is canceled. So we're just watching this particular warning here right now. And again, that is until 9:30. Good news, this is not confirmed. This is just a regular base radar indicated tornado. There is a lot of heavy wind, strong wind that's moving in with this particular cell. So let's go back to our Hammond radar. I'm going to show you the velocity product to show you what the winds look like here with this particular storm. And we're going to turn off this tag. There we go. So very strong, intense wind coming into Highway 16 near Holton. So this is what we're looking at here. You see, well, it's going to query some of the, probably the warnings here. Let's see if I can get this going again. Okay, that's the correct button that I wanted. But you see, look at that 69 mile per hour winds, 58 mile per hour winds, 22. So this is really what we're watching. This 58 to 69 mile per hour strong wind coming into the town of Holton right now. So if you're in Holton, seek shelter immediately. You got a very strong, intense line of thunderstorms that's currently coming into you right now, associated with this very strong line that continues to move east. Okay, so we're getting reports of power outages now coming into Tangipahoa Parish at this time. All right, so let's go back here because I believe I might be able to show you the same thing here. Let's see what we got. Okay. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit so you can see a better perspective. Yeah, wow, look at that. There's a lot of power outages currently. Let's see, can we get this going here? Let's see. We're going to query this out. Yeah, 1,500 being reported here in Tangipahoa Parish. Good call, Nicole. Thank you, our executive producer in the booth there. Because, you know, after all, we talked about the strong line of thunderstorms moving in from the west, right? We saw winds anywhere between 50, 60, 70, 80, over 100 miles an hour. So regardless if you were under a tornado warning or not, you're still looking at very strong winds coming in from this thing from the west. So this is really causing damage, and this is causing power outages. Just like we just talked about, 1,500 of you currently without power right now in Tangipahoa Parish. Let's see if we can zoom this out a little bit more and show you, yeah, I mean, look at the parishes back to the west here, over 1,000, 1,500, again, from that very strong line of thunderstorms that has been moving through here. So we got a lot of power outages here for you guys at this time, and I do want to get back to our radar perspective to show you what is happening here currently. I'm going to zoom in the map a little bit more tighter, a little bit more tight. Here we go. All right, so this looks new here. Another confirmed tornado warning for Washington Parish until 9:15, unless they probably updated that. It's probably what they might have done. Let me see. Yeah, so it looks like they're still continuing that, but we do have damage reports coming in. We got power lines reported down on LA Highway 43 in northeast Livingston, possible tornado. Okay, that's just outside of us, but I would not be surprised if we do have more storm reports coming in with this line of thunderstorms that's currently moving in, because I really suspect that we're going to have damage with this. We're already seeing the power outages. So we got to make sure that we're taking this very, very seriously, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come here. Let's zoom out the map here a little bit more. I want to get back to the other tornado warning that we had just south of there. Again, this is for Holton and Tangipahoa Parish, and this is going to go until 9:30 here for you. Tornado warning in effect here for you as well. Again, lots of power outages with this. It's very strong, intense wind that's moving in from the west. And behind it is going to accompany a lot of heavy rain and maybe even some hail too. So that's what we're dealing with here right now, and we're going to continue to stay on top of this here at WDSU as long as this threat does continue, which we unfortunately do have a long night. But it looks like, because if you were watching my Facebook live stream earlier, I was talking about how this is coming in just a little bit earlier now. So even though we're looking at a very intense severe weather coming in, which was expected, right? But it's coming in a little bit earlier. So that's, you know, it's good, because that way it should be over a little bit earlier here too. So let's go ahead and zoom in, and we'll show you down towards Preston Road. Okay, that's what we're watching here. We're watching this, a little bit of some rotation that's happening right there. Again, that is a confirmed tornado warning at this time, and I'm seeing that rotation right near Peters Road. Let me see if we could pick up the debris on this. Yeah, it's just, you know something, it's really hard to see if we do have any debris. It's not a very good representation of a strong, like, debris signature. But let's see if we can play this out. 15 minutes or so. Okay, yeah. There was something there, right there, and then it tracked east here, it looked like. Yeah. There was something there. The presentation does not look as well defined as it did. But regardless, though, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Regardless if it's a tornado warning or not, it's very strong, intense wind that's coming in here right now, knocking out power and causing damage. I'm waiting to see if we have any more coming in. We have a tornado debris signature near Laranger, very close to the radar. Well, that's not going to be good. Laranger, excuse me. I'm going to move this, because if this does affect the Hammond radar, and if it knocks it out, we're going to be the only station in the market to have the radar, which is not a bad thing. Let's go ahead and pause this here really quickly now, and then we're going to go back. I want to show you the radar from there. They're mentioning that we do have something near the radar. Okay, so near Hammond, you see that there. Let's go to the velocity. Well, we see something there. They're talking about the debris, though. Just making sure. They're talking about tornado debris near, okay, close to the radar. Tornado signature wrapping up near the Hammond radar. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Again, a little bit difficult to tell, but we might have something near Hammond. Let me see if I can play this out, see if I can see that a little bit better. That's the problem with these line of thunderstorms. It's kind of hard to see where the debris signatures are coming in. Okay, I-55 at 190 in Hammond. This is our traffic camera that we have here right now. So again, yeah, it's windy out there. We are seeing rain falling. I'm sure we're probably going to get reports of hail coming out of this as well. But the National Weather Service is saying that they are spotting a tornado signature wrapping up near the Hammond radar. I see it a little bit here, and I believe okay, it looks like they just issued a warning on that. So let's go back to that because that might be able to better illustrate here. I want to go back because the velocity's been really good for us to tell if we have anything else associated with this coming in here right now. So there is that tornado warning, again, just issued from the National Weather Service. There's the radar, by the way. I am going to show you where that is. It's that circle. I'm drawing it out for you. Right around Coburn and Oak Ridge. Right there is the radar. So looks likely that it will be avoiding the National Weather Service radar, which is good because they need their radar to continue to monitor and issue any more tornado warnings that could be coming in. So if we play this here, I'm going to go back to, let me see, let's go back to the reflectivity here and show you. We're gonna play this out so that way we can kind of track it here ourselves. And you see it coming in from the west. There's Hammond, right here where my hand is, and you see it coming towards Hammond right here, okay? It's very, very close to the radar, just like what the National Weather Service was saying, because again, here's the radar right there, and I think this is what they're looking at, okay? I think that's what they're looking at, near Highway 90, 94 potentially, or near Hammond. Actually, excuse me, yes. It's pretty much right where Hammond is, because the problem is we're seeing a little bit of some broad rotation potentially with this. So that's where things get a little bit difficult. But you see near Hammond and University Place, that's where likely they are looking at here. But regardless, it's very close to the radar. So this is going to be a close call for the radar there out of the National Weather Service in Hammond. And there it is, moving towards the east. Let's go ahead and get a storm track on this. I'm gonna pause this out. Okay, so we do have meteorologist Scott Pillier. He is coming in to help out with weather coverage. We're going to do a little bit of some tag teaming. This goes until 9:45, and let's go ahead and time this out here. So this is, again, moving east at 50 miles an hour. This is, again, it's a radar-indicated tornado that's moving towards the east at 50 miles an hour. So what we'll do is I'm going to play this out again over the last 15 minutes, and you see it coming in towards the east, towards the National Weather Service radar in Hammond, and there it comes, moving towards the east. And again, this is very, very intense storm. They are showing the projection right now. We're going to pause this out and draw a storm cone. I'm going to map this out here a little bit for you and time it out here just a little bit more. We have to go out a little bit so that way I can draw that storm cone for you a little bit better. There's the 50. Here we go. Okay, so now we're getting more reports of 4,500 outages in Tangipahoa Parish. That is a lot with this line of thunderstorms moving in here right now. So if you are in Cypress Cove, it's basically right there right now. Coburn at 9:06, Robert at 9:10, Lee's Landing at 9:14, and you see Madisonville at 9:24. Covington is at 9:27. Mandeville just after 9:30. That's when we can expect this tornado to become, if this holds together. There's a lot more towns here in eastern St. Tammany Parish. Let's go ahead and clear this out and zoom back here. Still watching that confirm we got another confirmed tornado. This is for Tangipahoa Parish. That's going to go until 9:30. Let's go ahead and get some more information on this. Coming in right now. So again, this is for Tangipahoa Parish. We have another confirmed tornado warning that's in effect for you until 9:30 p.m. There you see the tag just to the left of me. And we're going to zoom in a little bit more down towards street level. You see State Road 455. That is what we're looking at here right now. Let's go ahead and look at the velocity again on here on this and see what we have in terms of possible rotation. And there you go towards Highway 40 and State Road 445. We have very intense, strong winds. It looks like there's some rotation embedded within this. I would say that rotation marker is likely going to be somewhere in here near State Road 445 and Highway 40. That's what we're looking at here right now here at the moment. But if we query some of these spots out here, you see that we have winds just over 70 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour. And let's see what's just south of Highway 40. Okay, so we have over 40 miles an hour. So within this polygon, between 40 to over 73 mile per hour winds coming in, which is the reason why we are seeing a lot of you without power right now. And I'm sure that we're going to have damage reports coming in too. So again, very serious situation that we have right now coming in that continues to make its way through the North Shore at this time. And again, a very close call to the National Weather Service radar here in Hammond, where we do also have very strong winds that continue to come in here at the moment as well. Let's go ahead and query some of these locations here. And you see near Southwood, just over 50 mile per hour winds coming in here for you, and also near Avalon Terrace as well. And again, all of this moving towards the east here at this time. Continue to seek shelter immediately if you are in the North Shore in Tangipahoa Parish, to be more specific. There's going to be a lot. This is a big line of thunderstorms that continue to move in right now. And again, we're also watching that thunderstorm, this tornado warning in effect for Franklinton. This is also a very impressive storm that we have on our hands right now. And again, this is moving towards the east as well. So Franklinton, it's over you here right now. And this is going to go until 9:45. So a lot of active weather happening right now on our hands across the far North Shore locations. And what we'll do is I'm going to time this out here again here for you because this is also moving towards the east here at this time. There's a last look at the last 15 minutes. And again, you see that line of thunderstorms that does have some embedded tornadoes that continue to move towards the east very, very quickly between 30 to 40 miles an hour. So let's go ahead and stop this out here really quick. And I'm going to go ahead and draw the storm track here for you for the Bogalusa storm to give you an idea of where this particular cell could be going next here for you. So we'll just say between like 35, I believe. Pine at 9:22, it's coming in, and Sheridan at 9:22, and Lees Creek at 9:38. So Bogalusa, it's coming here for you very, very shortly, just before 9:40 p.m. This evening. So let's zoom in a little bit tighter. And again, a very strong line. Got some lightning activity with this here as well, but that's not the main concern. Check out the road camera here. We got a lot of heavy rain and very strong wind. Do not travel on the roads right now, folks. This is very dangerous with this line of strong storms coming in, packing a punch. We've seen Doppler weather radar estimates of winds between 50, 60, 70 or higher. I've seen 80, 90 to over 100 at times with this line here coming in right now for the North Shore. So let's zoom out this map. And again, the only confirmed tornado warning that we have right now is for eastern Tangipahoa Parish. And again, this is going to go until 9:30 p.m. For you. So you need to be taking shelter immediately as these line of thunderstorms continue to make their way towards the east. So that is currently what we're watching here at the moment. Let's go back here. I'm going to show you what we have in terms of our radar from WDSU. This is coming from our radar in Chalmette. And again, you see a lot of heavy weather in Tangipahoa Parish in towards Washington Parish. But really what we need to focus on, though, however, is our Weather Service radar that we have currently up in Hammond. It's a lot closer to where we can see some better defined coverage here of storms. And again, everything moving towards the east, 30 to 40 miles an hour here at this time. Let's see if we can find any debris associated with these thunderstorms as they continue to move through. And right now, nothing looks too impressive here at the moment, but the last 15 minutes or so, we've been watching some of these contain some debris-like signatures that continue to move their way towards the east. And again, we have the tornado warnings for some of these cells, but a lot of this really is very intense wind that continues to move towards the east here at this time. And that is really just, excuse me, our main concern at this time is just the intense wind with this line of thunderstorms that continues to move through. The good thing is that I don't really see, except for this storm in Washington Parish, the storms down to the south don't look overly impressive, and here's why. With this particular storm in Washington Parish, we're getting actually what's happening is with these cells, I'll start with these cells back to the south towards Tangipahoa Parish. They don't look as impressive as they did before because we have a lot of storms back south. And what happens is you'll get the storms, the storms from the south will wrap into the inflow of these tornado warnings to the north and kind of cut it off here a little bit. But this one here in Washington Parish is a little bit further north to where this looks a little bit more impressive. And again, because this is a line of thunderstorms moving through, a lot of these tornadoes that we see are going to continue to just be, very, very quick. And some of them could be brief spin-ups as they move through. So we're updating this in real time as it becomes available. I do want to go ahead and see what we have as far as this new tornado warning that was just issued here a little while ago for the North Shore and Franklinton. I'm going to move the map a little bit further east, that way you can see. So we do have this one that is moving towards the southeast at 30 miles an hour, which a lot of them have been between 30 to 40 miles an hour. Very, very intense, strong thunderstorms that are containing tornadoes at this time. And we've had a lot of them that continue to produce either radar indicated or just observed at the same time, which regardless, like we talked about, very dangerous, regardless if it's a tornado warning or not. I'm zooming out because I do want to show you the winds with this. Well, not the winds, but the track with this here, moving towards the east at 30. So Plainview just after 9:30, Lease Creek at 9:42. Bogalusa's coming in at 9:44, so we'll zoom in as we have our community map up and show you who is going to be next in line with this particular storm. Crossroads, it's coming in at 9:53, Mill Creek at 10:05, and McNeil at 10:12, Tyler at 9:14. And coming into Millard at 10:15, Derby at 10:66, and Poplarville just after 10:20, so 10:22 there to be exact. Those are some towns that we are currently watching on the far North Shore, moving towards the east. Eventually, this is going to cross over into Mississippi within the next probably 20 to 30 minutes. So there's definitely a lot here on the North Shore from what we're following. 1, 2, 3, 4 tornado warnings right now, and a couple of these are still, or one of them, I should say, is connected to a observed tornado. Now, the rest of these warnings continue to just be severe thunderstorm warnings. They remain in effect until 10 o'clock. That does include St. Tammany Parish, Washington Parish, and now the far eastern extent of that warning now touches into South Mississippi too. So let's go ahead and zoom out the map here a little bit and show you what else is happening back to the west. So the good thing is that this is just the main line coming in right now for you on the North Shore. Back to the west is just mainly some light to moderate rain that's going to be moving in here next. That's really nothing severe. This is what we're just watching here right now. Just this main line of complex of thunderstorms that continue to move in across the North Shore. So Franklinton into Folsom, south into Independence, Tickfall, Hammond, and Ponchatoula. You are all looking at very strong, intense thunderstorms that continue to move in from the east, or from the west, I should say, from this strong line of thunderstorms moving in. In fact, look at this line up towards South Mississippi. I know this is out of our viewing area, but also they are too, into Hattiesburg, into Laurel. Collins also looking at tornado warnings currently in effect for them as it continues to move in from the west. So there's a lot of weather here. Again, this has been mainly focused on the North Shore. Nothing towards the South Shore at this time. We do have some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms towards the bayou. None of those are severe. And again, back to the west, Baton Rouge, western central Louisiana, looking at some moderate to heavy rain that's currently moving in. They are expiring the severe thunderstorm warning for Livingston, St. Helena, Tangipahoa, and Washington Parish at this time. So once that severe thunderstorm is expired, we are just going to be watching these tornado warnings that will continue. So we broke them down warning by warning. We'll time this one out here. So again, this one is going to continue until 9:45 for you in Tangipahoa Parish. Seek shelter now. It continues to move towards the east. It's heading towards Lee's Landing and also Betico as well. Just approaching the St. Tammany Parish line at the moment. And you see back to the north, again, we're still watching this confirmed tornado report. I think that they're probably going to drop this soon because it just doesn't look all that impressive here anymore. This is really the main storm now, entering into what is now into western St. Tammany Parish here at this time. Let's go ahead and get this tag out of the way. And again, show you all these tornado warnings that are coming in, moving in from the west here. So let's go ahead and I know we have the power outages map here on the side. Okay. So we're getting reports coming in from Chantel Davis, our North Shore Bureau reporter. And Nicole, where did you say that was again? Fluker. So, okay, so she spoke to someone in Fluker saying power is out. No surprise there, right? Now she's on her way towards Hammond, where I would imagine that there's going to be more power outages, and I'm sure that we're going to have damage. So let's talk about some of those power outages that are currently unfolding right now. I'm going to have to go back here and probably zoom this out here a little bit. I know we had it here earlier to give us a better perspective on what is happening. We're going to have to go to the severe tab for that and show you some of these power outages numbers to be more specific. So yeah, look at that. There's a lot of power outages here currently with this, where we do have the severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warnings currently in place. So I'm going to go ahead and query the Tangipahoa Parish to be more specific. We have 5,000 customers without power right now. That is a lot of you without power here at the moment. Oh, at least 7,500 in Tangi. Okay, so this one probably isn't updating all the way just yet. But just to give you an update on what is happening right now, we have a lot of power outages, especially if you are in Tangipahoa Parish, where a lot of you are currently in the dark. And a good way, to watch us here too, if you have friends or neighbors that might have power, just tell them, hey, look, you can download the WDSU News mobile app and tell them if they still have their power that they can still watch our coverage right now. We are live. So let's go ahead and exit this out, and let's go ahead and move the map a little bit further towards the east. We're currently on the power outages numbers, which you see on the bottom left there of your screen. I'm going to go back to our radar here and show you what's happening from a rain and possible hail standpoint. That really wasn't overall the big concern today, but I just want to show you because sometimes we might be able to see some spin-ups here within this, because again, remember, we're watching for some embedded rotation, some brief spin-ups that could occur with this strong line of thunderstorms. And so far today, the reflectivity, which is what we're looking at right now, also helps, and our velocity products also can give us a good idea. For example, just west of Plainview, okay, there's something that might be here near Zona and also near Willis. I'm going to go ahead and circle that for you. We might have a little bit of circulation that might be popping up here. So we're watching that more specifically. There might be something just north of Sheridan here too. And just to give you a better perspective of that, you know, when we move this map out, okay, there's some little couplets that might be happening. Say again? Okay. Yeah. Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office, they have trees across the road, and you said in different locations. Was that right? Okay. Okay. So that's way back west here. I-55 and mile marker 43 is where we're getting reports of trees that are down. And I believe you said they were covering the roads, correct? Okay. Highway 1061 at Connerly Road, go ahead. Commercial Street and Roseland Avenue. Highway 51 and Arcola Road, just like what we talked about before, showing you that strong line of storms coming in with the rotation and the strong line, or the embedded couplet within the storm winds. That was all in that area. So that moved through where we had the 70, 80, 90, 100 plus at times mile per hour winds coming down. So again, okay, we have another report coming in. Go ahead. Large debris, Highway 1048, and you said Highway 55? I-55. That is where we're seeing more debris come in right now. Okay, so Tangipahoa Parish, we got a lot. All right, so I do actually have some more coming in here. This might be the same one you were just talking about there, Nicole, but I'm just going to read off anyway. Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office reporting Richardson Road, Bennett Road, Highway 10, South River Road, and let's see, we do have Hart Road, Highway 190, Yoakum Road, I-12 Service Road. These are some different roads here, actually. But regardless, however, in Tangipahoa Parish, we have gotten numerous reports of either trees down or just debris. So we had tornado warnings come through, and we had straight line winds come through. So not a surprise at all to see all these damage reports that are coming in right now. And there's a lot of strong wind that is still going on here. In fact, look how bright this is right now. So let's go ahead and query some of these spots and look at that. So we're still looking at, you know, 80 plus mile per hour winds coming in to near Wilmer. You have a picture. Okay, we have a tree down in Tickfall. They mention it's blurry, but we're pulling it up here right now. There you can see that's, okay, say it one more time. Milton Road in Tickfall is where we're seeing this tree down here. So that's a pretty large tree that's down right now, and you know, we probably can expect more of these trees to continue to come down, along with debris that might be flying in the air, and some of those embedded tornado warning squalls that could be setting up here at the moment. But as we just showed you here, okay, so there's still, even though that first line, that line has moved through, right? But look at this. We're still dealing with very strong winds coming in. 75 miles an hour south of Holton, Wilmer 74 miles an hour, near Bailey 78 miles an hour, okay? So we have a lot of strong wind still coming in towards Tangipahoa Parish and also into western Washington Parish at this time. And if we go a little bit further south of the radar here where we have the reds, let's go ahead and query some of those here too. I'm sure that we have some very strong winds within that as well, near I-55. Yep, just shy of 70 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour just to the north of Rome. Okay, now we're getting reports coming in from Tangi saying that more than 8,000 reports of power outages at this time. That is a lot of you without power here at the moment. Comes as no surprise again. This is a very strong line of storms that is moving through the North Shore at this time. And again, we still have the confirmed tornado warning that's in effect right now. Let's see, let's go and pop that up till 9:30 for Tangipahoa Parish at this time. But that looks like that's going to be likely going to be dropped, or at least allowed to be expired at 9:30. because obviously that rotation here has definitely weakened here quite a bit. But let's go back to, I'm going to go back to our Hammond reflectivity radar here and show you. Yeah, so where we had that confirmed, it's just rain now. So what we have to worry about is what's happening downstream further east. So you got St. Benedict and you have Goodby, Covington, and Highway 190. That is what we're looking at right now for a tornado warning that's currently in effect. This is St. Tammany until 10 o'clock this evening. That's going to go in effect, or that's at least lasting here and for you until 10 o'clock. We also have a lot of heavy rain that's moving in with these cells. Okay, go ahead, Nicole. Okay, so we just got a report coming in from Chantel Davis, our North Shore reporter in Hammond, saying that she just got an alert saying that to take shelter. All right, and there is that storm that we're watching right now. This was the storm that we talked about that was very, very close to the National Weather Service radar there in Hammond. So let's go ahead and look at the velocity standpoint of this. And again, we are seeing the greens and the reds here coming close together. So it looks like there's some rotation there. It's been very difficult to map out some of the debris or correlation coefficients where we're looking for things that are not weather related, you know, but a lot of them here have been cycling up and down, especially with some of these here on the far North Shore coming in here at the moment. I don't really see a debris signature out of this here right now. But what I am seeing still, again, if we go back to the velocity on this, there is a lot of strong wind that continues to move in. In fact, I want to look at the pure velocity with this. And you see it here coming in towards Tangipahoa Parish. Let's go back to the other one here. Because again, if we widen this out, all right, I'm going to widen this out a little bit more because I want to show you what's happening here just from a perspective, like, you know, when we zoom out here across the North Shore, and show you what kind of wind that we're currently dealing with right now and why so many of you are reporting either power outages or damage. Okay, so if you're just joining us, just before 9:30, you're watching WDSU First Warning Weather Alert Day coverage here as a very strong line continues to move into the North Shore. And I am seeing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds that are coming in. Further south, we're looking at 40 towards just shy of 50 near Hammond. And near Gonzales, look at that, 70 mile per hour winds coming in from the west. So there is a lot of strong winds that continue to move in from the westerly direction at this point. Look what's happening right now towards western Washington Parish at this time. Definitely a lot of very strong wind that continues to come down here right now. 72 miles per hour, and just north into Tylertown. Look at that, 84 miles an hour of wind coming in right now, just shy of 70 mile per hour winds. So we don't have anything warned besides a severe thunderstorm warning. The tornado warnings are a little bit further east, away from that. But regardless, though, again, it's not, like I said, it's not just about the tornado warnings, folks. This is really just about the strong wind that is coming in just either out ahead or behind some of these tornado warnings. That's why we're seeing such a large polygon of a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10 o'clock for Washington, St. Tammany, and Tangipahoa Parish. Tangipahoa Parish, you guys have been getting nailed so far all evening long. And there's still some weather coming back from the west here a little bit. So let's go ahead and get back to our radar here. Okay. Okay, no worries. We're going to have meteorologist Scott Pillier. He is going to be joining us for our tag team coverage in just a moment. He is getting mic'd up. We're going to go back to Washington Parish here, and you see down towards Bogalusa, and just south of Varnado, and also just near Angie. This strong line is packing a punch here right now. We have a tornado warning in effect here for you. That's going until 9:45. This is coming right into Bogalusa here at this time. And we see that there's a lot of very heavy or very strong wind coming in with this, as we've been mentioning. So we're going to go ahead and query this out. I'm going to show you some locations here. Look at that. It's over 70 mile per hour winds, over 60 mile per hour winds, and we have over 50 mile per hour winds that's coming right into central Washington Parish, now moving east into eastern Washington Parish. So Angie, Varnado, and Bogalusa take shelter right now. This is a very serious line of thunderstorms moving in. We've had reports and confirmation of power outages and damage reports all coming in across the North Shore. And it looks like we do have another tornado warning. Okay, this is a confirmed tornado warning now for St. Tammany Parish until 10 o'clock. Let's do some investigating here with this near St. Benedict and also near Covington here as well. I'm going to move the map here a little bit further south. Scott, were you ready at all?
Yeah, Derek, that's what I was about to say. You know, right exactly where you're looking, just north of St. Benedict. Looks like we've got a little bit of a debris signature showing up there as well. So this is just north of Covington, north of Abita Springs. There it is right there. So if we flip back over to the radar picture, Derek's doing a great job. We have a brand new tornado warning that includes a large part of St. Tammany Parish. So as we zoom back out, this is where we've got, again, the tornado warning. And you can see this is our debris detector. And again, some of these, Derek, you've been doing such a great job walking people through what these different shadings mean. And as we get new scans in, typically what you're looking for here is non-meteorological. So things that aren't raindrops or hailstones, things like trees or anything that could be lofted as debris. Those are typically shown as yellows and blues and things that are not the plain old shade of red. So as we zoom back in here north of St. Benedict, right along Old Military Road is where we did have a little bit of a debris signature right about, let's say, here on that north side of Waldheim. This is north of Highway 21, where, again, we had pretty good signs. Derek, would you agree that you had that little debris signature? If we go back maybe one or two scans is when we had kind of more evidence of this debris. So this is the north side of Tangipahoa Parish where the cell was moving from, now into the north and northwest side of St. Tammany Parish. There's Sun, there's Bush, again, in Washington Parish. It's just towards the west of there along Old Military Road, where this pixel that we're seeing kind of in the yellows or blues is where the rotation was both evident and our debris detector that looks at possible lofted debris. That's what we're seeing. And Derek, as you pull up the velocity scan here over the past, 30 minutes, this entire line has been seeing what we call spin-up tornadoes. They're tornadoes that occur in a pretty rapid fashion that it's pretty hard for us as meteorologists to say, okay, there's one on the ground, but then a new one can form.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. No, I couldn't say it better myself. And I've been talking about how we call this like a QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. It's a fancy term in meteorology, but really what we're watching, again, is this strong line of thunderstorms moving through a squall line. And sometimes you can get these brief embedded spin-ups, just like what Scott was just talking about. And we've been seeing a lot of those here lately. In fact, Scott, what I'm going to do, because I know I got the hand tracking system turned on, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off so that way you can go ahead and feel free to use whatever parameter you want to use while we keep talking here, too.
I want to give people a big picture because I feel like we've been talking about so many different cells, but this is the one that we're kind of most concerned about right now, the one that does have the confirmed tornado warning tag on it. This is for kind of the north central part of St. Tammany Parish. So for folks that are watching in Covington, the greatest rotation just north of you. For everyone, though, I think it goes without saying that this line has a history of producing very strong damaging winds. Damage is damage, right? Whether or not there's a tornado or not on the ground, what we're concerned about is the possibility that there could be damage. So don't go outside trying to spot a tornado. This is a line that has a history of producing winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. I was just looking at some of the power outage numbers, now well over 8,000 power outages. Basically the entire town of Roseland, Tangipahoa, a good portion of that looks like Hammond right along I-12 and 55 without power. So this shows kind of the pathway of where these storms have been moving. And then there's a whole nother cluster, it looks like, that is closer towards Holton, I believe, that we have kind of another patch of power outages. But yeah, over 8,000 power outages is nothing to scoff at with the damaging winds that we've already seen. So here is the new tornado warning that we've got. This is the one that has the confirmed tornado tag. And it does look like, Derek, now we've got another tornado warning with the confirmed tag for Bush and for Sun in Washington Parish as well.
Yeah, I see that little hook right there. The National Weather Service just came in, Scott, saying that they do have a damaging tornado. It's radar confirmed, but they're saying that it's located near Bush, or about 10 miles northeast of Covington.
And there it is right there near Ben Williams Road. So these have been very difficult to detect at times because of how quickly the storms are moving, and you're kind of getting these rapid spin-ups on the leading edge of the line of storms. So as I kind of look to highlight this, Ben Williams Road, just north of Highway 21 in Waldheim. This is moving towards the east, towards the community of Bush and Sun. So if you're watching from there, take our voice with you. We're streaming both on Facebook, live on our app as well. This is where we've got the greatest signature out of all the storms that I've seen within the past 30 minutes. You know, we've seen these cycle up and down, quick little indications of debris, then that goes away. The hope is that this never touches the ground, but we kind of have to treat each of these warnings, Derek, like there could be a tornado. We know the damaging wind threat is there. That's why we're taking this serious, because damage is damage. You have shingles or tree limbs causing power outages. We know that. And if you go outside, you know, trying to spot something, that's how you can get yourself injured.
Absolutely. And in fact, while you got the radar up there, Scott, can we go switch over to the CC? Because I want to see if we do see that same debris signature that the National Weather Service was showing there. And again, we're looking northeast of, or 10 miles northeast of Covington, moving east at 40, located near Bush. So, yeah, go ahead. It looks like maybe something was popping up. Maybe here,
that was that little piece that was north of St. Benedict that we saw kind of some indications of debris. We turned on the debris detector. Again, I mentioned this, and we've been talking about debris detector. It's the correlation coefficient, a fancy word for saying what is being detected that is non-meteorological, right? So not raindrops. The wind can scurry up bugs and things. You can actually detect that sometimes. But as I pause this, I want to show you that last frame, because that's the one that gives us the best indication that, okay, maybe there is a little bit of debris that's being showcased. But again, it's very hard to kind of pixelate what could be just wind-blown debris or what is actually being caused from rotation. We do have a viewer picture now that we want to showcase. This is pictures of trees that look like they've come down in a pretty orderly fashion. This is from Crapanzano Road in Hammond. So again, we saw the power outage map. This kind of verifies what we've been seeing. You can see the large tree on the ground there. Obviously, people trying to get through the road, it appears, with that vehicle on the left-hand side of your screen. So this is why we're saying, if you're watching from the entire North Shore right now, as I pull up the big map again, I want to just give people, you know, that are watching from the South Shore that are saying, Scott, Derek, you know, it's not even raining a drop in New Orleans. Why are we focused so much on this? This line of storms has really been packing a punch basically across the entire viewing area. These storms started near Baton Rouge. Now they're moving through in the heaviest of spots, parts of Washington Parish and through St. Tammany Parish. A lot of lightning. We've got a live camera here for you. This is I-12 at LA-21 on the North Shore, and you can see visibility very low. We caution people, you know, if you start to encounter severe storms and you know that there's a nearby gas station, pull over for a couple of seconds. We can walk you through when the worst is going to be over. And what Derek and I have been talking about, these storms are moving quickly, so this is going to be in and out of here, but they will be packing a punch as they do so. I want to go to the new warnings that we've got, because we do have a slew of them on the North Shore for parts of St. Tammany as well as Washington parishes. So we now have this is now what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with a new warning that also includes Mandeville and much of basically southern St. Tammany Parish from near Madisonville, with a pretty well-defined appendage here, kind of just in between Mandeville and Madisonville, a nice little hook trying to show up here right along kind of the foot of the causeway. This is just towards the west of the Causeway Bridge. So again, if you're watching in Mandeville, this would be that time, Mandeville, Big Branch, and Lacombe, to be in that safe place away from all windows. Take Derek and I's voices with you. This one is not a confirmed tornado tag yet, radar or ground truth confirmed, but it does showcase that this is radar indicated rotation of a cell that could be capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour plus winds. We've had several considerable tags, meaning that the wind threat could be in excess of 60 miles per hour with some of these storms. And this was well advertised by some of our forecast models, but it did arrive a bit earlier than even some of the model guidance was showing. So 3 tornado warnings kind of back to back, with the 2 more significant ones. The ones on this map that are blinking in purple, for those of you that are watching at home, mean that the National Weather Service has tagged these as confirmed, meaning that we have seen evidence of debris on the radar, or we've seen ground truth damage that is reflective of a tornado on the ground. That's the difference that you're seeing from the colors blinking behind me. Red means a confirmed, well, it's a tornado warning. A purple means a confirmed tornado warning. So it kind of just ups the ante of preparedness. But basically, I'm treating y'all, any of these storms that are on the North Shore right now, as if they could produce a tornado. Will they? We'll have to wait for the ground truth analysis from the National Weather Service surveyed teams. But either way, straight line damaging winds or a tornado, the damage is going to be reflective either way. So let's go through these, because there are a lot of folks being impacted now with 5 consecutive tornado warnings. What I like to do is kind of work you north to south. Let's go through each one of these individual. The first one on the north side of Washington Parish is a tornado warning that we've got that goes in effect for at least the next, let's see, Derek, I think this one goes until, I'm getting lost with the time, 9:40 present time. So 10 o'clock is the severe thunderstorm warning. The tornado warning is till 9:45. So another 6 minutes here with this cell that's located very close to the community of Bogalusa and Sun. I'm going to turn on the velocity here. It looks like this is more of a straight line wind issue to me now with this cell in particular. You can kind of see the leading edge of this line that's moving through kind of right into Pearl River County. That's where we've got the indications of the straight line winds. So winds that could be 60 plus miles per hour. Not seeing a ton of rotation now presently with that particular cell. So I'm going to move back a little bit further to the south, because we're going to work through these one by one. The one that's moving into Sun and Bush, you can see it located here. This also in effect until 10 o'clock local time. This includes eastern parts of St. Tammany Parish. Similar in stature, this one has a little bit more pixels of red, or that beige color. You can see it right here along State Route 41 and Lulu Road and Stein Road. There are some pixels here of purple, indicating that we could be seeing a confluence or a convergence of winds that could indicate there's a possible tornado near Sun. But again, Derek, I would like for you to confirm is what we've kind of been seeing with these cells, that it's pretty difficult to analyze. Is there a tornado on the ground, or is there just straight line winds? And in this case, a little bit more rotation near and north of Sun. Is that kind of what you're seeing there as well?
I was seeing that like little couplet, if you go back to the reflectivity. I mean, this is a good product right here with the velocity showing that the colors were matching up a little bit, but it looks like this new scan, maybe not as defined as from what we had here before near Sun. But regardless, though, we're going to continue to see these, very quick, brief spin-ups that are going to be embedded within the strong line of thunderstorms that continue to move towards the east. So there's a look at some of the towns coming into Sun at 9:55 here. Mill Creek, for example, will be a little bit later, around 11. But you kind of get the general idea of where this is all going towards. So if you're in Sun, seek shelter immediately. And now moving south, where we have some of these other blinking polygons blinking up in purple here, where we do have the confirmed tornado warnings that remain in effect. So regardless, if you are, like I've been saying so far all evening, if you're not under the tornado warning, or if you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning, or if you're just under a severe thunderstorm warning but maybe not a tornado warning, it doesn't matter. This is packing a huge punch for you on the North Shore right now, containing very strong, damaging, gusty winds as it continues to move towards the east. And eventually, well, not eventually, we've seen it, but every now and then we see some of these brief couplets that spin up embedded within this line, just like what we've been seeing here right now. And, Scott, it's interesting, too. The National Weather Service saying that they have 5 radar-confirmed debris signatures across southeast Louisiana, and the damage associated with another tornado warning It's outside of the viewing area towards Amite County. But regardless, though, this is a very impressive storm right now that we have, or this impressive squall line of damaging winds that we have right now here on the North Shore. So again, if you're in Bush, if you're in Covington, Mandeville, south towards Lacombe, Slidell, make sure to seek shelter immediately towards Pearl River. This is now getting closer, entering into South Mississippi. So I know we have our 2 counties in South Mississippi too. So you guys, if you're watching our coverage, this strong line of damaging winds is heading towards you right now.
And it does look like, Derek, as you said, 5 confirmed debris signatures being showcased throughout basically southern Mississippi all the way into parts of the North Shore. It looks like one of those that is directly behind me that you can kind of see, this is just towards the east of Covington, just south of Talasheek. This is one of them south of State Road 435, north of State Road 36. And even closer than that on Pine Cone Road. A lot of trees in this part of St. Tammany Parish. This is just south of one of my favorite spots in Talasheek. And you can kind of see this area that is shaded in yellow. Most of the pixels here are red, meaning that's where we've got heavy rain, we've got some small hail, possibly pea up to marble size. But right here, where we've got the blinking purple polygon indicating a confirmed radar confirmed tornado, meaning that the National Weather Service is seeing exactly what we're seeing here at WDSU, and that's there is some evidence of debris being lofted into the air and detected by radar, non-meteorological icons or objects that could be in the air. So if you're watching from Talasheek, but in particular, I'm watching even further down the line, folks that are in Pearl River. Also, maybe you're watching into parts of Hancock and Harrison County. Heads up, haven't said your names yet, but this whole line is kind of marching from the northwest towards the south-southeast. So with time, or the east-southeast, I should say. So for folks that are watching in Picayune, Pearl River, Slidell, these are heading your way as well. And I'm going to flip back over to reflectivity to show you Mandeville and Lacombe, you're also now within a tornado warning and some pretty well-pronounced rotation that's showing up right near the foot of the Causeway Bridge. More often than not, these tornadoes that are very quick, they can be very difficult to even in post-analysis say that a tornado touched down. But what we can say is that all of these storms have had a history of producing winds of 60 to 70 plus miles per hour. That's why the National Weather Service has placed the considerable tag several times on some of these cells. So a lot of times you might not even see us break in for every single severe thunderstorm warning, but tonight isn't one of those nights. Each one of these cells is capable of producing tornadoes. We have a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere, winds that are increasing in speed with height and also changing direction. So fancy jargon aside, folks that are watching in southern parts of St. Tammany Parish, Mandeville, you've got a lot of heavy rain and storms out now. Within the next 10 minutes or so, the severe weather threat will be passing you. But if you're watching in Big Branch, in Lacombe, and in Slidell, this is the time to be getting to that safe place, be in that safe spot as the storms. Slidell, you're not under a tornado warning yet, but you have the severe thunderstorm warning, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this tornado warning get extended. You can see also as well as we kind of broaden this map out, it looks like they have once again, it looks like taken away that considerable tag, but continued with the tornado warning just south of Talasheek where we did see evidence of debris. So I'm going to go back to the velocity. Velocity is showing us the change in wind direction, either toward the radar or away from the radar. So in this general image, you're like, Scott, I'm not seeing a ton of different colors. I see a lot of green, right? So winds that are blowing away from the radar site in Hammond. These winds, though, have a history of producing wind speeds of 60 plus miles per hour. So in this, though, there's one little pixel of red. That is giving kind of a clue to us that there could be a tornado amidst this straight line wind setup. So if you're watching from John Bennett Road, just north of State Route 36, this is in kind of the more rural part of St. Tammany Parish, just south of Talasheek. We're looking again north of I-12. For folks that are watching in kind of the 59 corridor for parts of Slidell up towards Picayune. No tornado warning yet, but this whole batch of storms is moving its way in. Let's go zoom back in. I want to get a tracker on this cell that's moving from Mandeville, where we've got pretty good rotation now with this one. This is picked up in the latest scans. This is again in southern parts of St. Tammany Parish. This is right along, this is Montgomery Street there, of course, and then we've got Highway 190 that runs just north of the lake. So Big Branch, Lacombe, you're within about the next 5 to 8 minutes of this moving in your way. It's moving quick, and that's the good thing with all of these storms. The bad part is that if you don't get the warning and you're caught outside, you could be seeing winds that are gusting in excess of 60 miles per hour, lofting debris and causing widespread power outages for parts of the North Shore already. So Mandeville, it's located right over you right at this moment. The good news is that the worst has now passed a spot like Madisonville. My folks that are watching in Hammond, as well as in Tickfaw and Amite and Kentwood, the worst of the weather has now passed the 55 corridor, and it's moving into parts of St. Tammany Parish. Hence why we've kind of pivoted our focus a bit. And for folks that are watching on the South Shore, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, is this heading our way? Yes, this whole line is slowly trekking its way towards the south-southeast. There's a live look at our causeway. Cam, I'm assuming that this is the one that we've got kind of closer to the foot, the big hump right in the middle of the causeway. That is where we've started to see storms move in. We've got a special marine warning in effect for Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Bourne, Lake Maurepas. If you do not have to get on the roads right now, I would caution against it, guys. Just be safe the next couple of hours as we walk you through this, and then we're on to a gorgeous weekend. But there's the Causeway Bridge. You can see, yep, there's the mid-bridge looking north. We've got the tornado warning at the foot of the north side of the causeway in Mandeville. Very heavy rain, winds that could be 45 to 60 miles per hour on the causeway. I would not be traveling on the causeway north or southbound for at least the next 2 hours. Let this line pass. Winds are going to be gusty on the back side of this line of storms as well. So let's go back in because we've got multiple tornado warnings that are in effect for the North Shore. Running through them one by one. We've got the first tornado warning that's in effect for southern St. Tammany Parish until 10:15. My folks in Mandeville, rocking and rolling. A lot of gusty winds, frequent cloud to ground lightning, small hail, and a possible tornado. As I flip over to this does not have a confirmed tornado tag, but I am seeing evidence of rotation right along Highway 190 between Mandeville and Big Branch. So if you're watching in Lacombe, this is the time. Grab your phone. We're all on our phones. Grab your phone. Listen to Derek and I walking you through this here on WDSU. Traffic cams right now clear in that area, but again, rapidly deteriorating conditions expected. So these have been rain-wrapped tornadoes, to say the least. I mean, we're talking about rainfall rates of about 2+ inches an hour. Y'all, it's nearly impossible to see a tornado coming in a wooded area, in an area that has a lot of trees, right? So please stay inside, hunker down, and wait for this to pass. I'm going to flip back over to our debris tracker because we have at times seen evidence of debris. Right now, that's not lining up near Mandeville and Big Branch in the zone with the greatest rotation. So that's why we have not seen the confirmed tornado tag placed on that cell, because we're just not seeing evidence of debris yet. It does appear that the original confirmed tornado tag with this cell in north central St. Tammany Parish, approaching Audubon and just north and west of Pearl River, maybe a little bit of indications of rotation here. You can kind of see this bluish pixel that's trying to pick up near State Road 36 and then Florinville. Again, some of these are more smaller cities and towns. These are more than what we would typically populate on a map, but we want to give you an idea of all of the roads that could be in play with this. Folks that are watching in Slidell, I would not be getting on the roads heading northbound on 59. This line of storms is going to be moving into the 59 corridor between Poplarville and Picayune as we go into the next 15 plus minutes. So again, headed northbound from Slidell. Wouldn't try to do it right now as this whole batch of storms moves its way in. All right, so zooming out to give you kind of an idea of the big picture. New Orleans Metro, dry for now with the exception of a new cell that has kind of popped up right near Gentilly with some localized heavy rain, but everything on the South Shore and for the river and bayou parishes is currently below severe limits. I will say, though.
Hey, Scott, really quickly. Nicole's going to go ahead and brief you in on what's going on. But right now, again, we're just tracking all the rain and thunderstorms just like me and Scott have been mentioning here to you so far all evening long with very heavy rain now coming in towards the South Shore, towards the river parishes, I-10, and also now towards Laplace. This is all beginning to now push its way in towards the western metro. So watch out for heavy rain. There is no severe thunderstorm warnings, definitely no tornado warnings with these down to the South Shore approaching the New Orleans metro or near the bayou. But regardless, though, keep your guard up here. Don't keep it down because just like what we've been following here on the North Shore, there's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, plenty of tornado warnings, and some of these continue to show that we do have the confirmed tornado warning tags here right now. And it looks like we do have another tornado warning there, Scott. It looks like for, was it Pearl River County? Yeah, coming in here just near southeast of Bogalusa here near Henley Field and Highway 43. So it looks like we got a new tornado warning with that. And also, they just canceled the tornado warning for north central St. Tammany and southeastern Washington parishes here, too, which is good. But we still got the blinking polygons there, which indicate that we still have the confirmed tornado tags there currently right now. So why don't we go to the reflectivity here one more time, Scott, on the North Shore. And again, very heavy rain, gusty winds. Can we show the velocity here just to see what's going on in terms of the wind speeds there? We might be able to query some of those spots. I believe it's that tab, towards Bogalusa. Probably got some very strong winds. Yeah, I know the system sometimes gets a little bit funky with that. But on the towards Bogalusa, we got a lot of strong winds heading up there. Sun, look at that, near just west of Bush, 40-mile-per-hour winds, just over 42-mile-per-hour winds, again, moving in from the west. And these have been really, really strong. We have seen earlier reports from Doppler weather radar wind report velocity estimates showing that we've had 60, 70, 80, even 90 mile-per-hour winds here at times. Now, these obviously are not as strong as what we had before, but this is still enough, however, and again, regardless if you're under a warning or not, this is still enough to produce some damaging wind potential, including the possibility of downed trees, definitely some power outages here, too. Looks like there might be a little bit of maybe a hook there potentially. This is once again just like what we had
north
here
of
before.
Picayune.
Yeah, just north of Picayune. You got something here. This is what we talked about before with this line of thunderstorms moving in. You sometimes get those brief, quick spin-ups that occur there, which might be something, although probably not as well defined from what we had here before, but just looking at some green here, but just overall very strong gusty winds for the most part coming in right now, and just monitoring NWS chat here at this time. But yeah, a lot of this, you know, some of these tornado warnings at times have been a little bit, you know, concerning at times, but a lot of this, though, again, straight line wind damaging effect with this moving through here.
And Derek, what's good about what you just pointed out was that, you know, when I was watching you at home and you were doing a fantastic job in that moment that some of the velocity signatures were approaching that 80, 90 to 100 mile per hour range. We thankfully are seeing a slight downtrend in some of those velocity notes and some of those max wind velocity potentials. So that would be some good news. We're not seeing as expansive of velocity signatures that are saying, hey, we've got, but now look, there's the one that we were just monitoring going into parts of southern Mississippi. So for folks that are watching in Picayune, this is where we do have, and I'm going to flip back over to the velocity product so we can show you, this was the cell that we were kind of watching on the far northeastern side. And that is a little bit more of a tightly wound couplet. So areas of spin that are red and green tightly together indicates winds that are converging, and that can indicate a possible tornado. This polygon that includes Nicholson, Picayune, the 59 corridor, all the way to 43 in Catahoula in southern Mississippi, this is the new tornado warning. Doesn't have a confirmed tag, but if you look right here on your screen, that's the signature. where we've got red touching green, winds that are moving towards the radar and winds that are moving away from the radar. It's a little bit more distance away from the radar site now, so not getting as clear of a pixelation of this, but I wouldn't be surprised that as this moves its way into southern Mississippi, that we see an extension of this warning down the road. Wind speeds have been the big concern all evening, but within this, we're seeing very quick spin-up tornadoes. We talk about the embedded tornado risk. It's all semantics, right? Damage is damage, and if you're within this red polygon for parts of southern Mississippi, including Picayune and far northeastern sides, right close to the Pearl that runs down into Pearl River and the Pearl River watershed, this is just east of Tallahassee along Highway 41. This is moving towards Nicholson and Picayune. And Derek, do we have the speed on this one?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up some information here because we also are getting more damage reports too, Scott. So I just want to read these off really quickly here. Emergency Management is reporting trees down on Commercial and Roseland Avenue in Roseland. So that's, way back west there, but that just came in. Also saying a new tornado warning is being issued to surge on near the Tallahassee storm. It's moving into southern Pearl River, western Hancock County. That's the one we were just talking about. And the other tornado warning to its north for areas of McNeil has expired. So that is good. But let's go ahead and get back to that tornado warning. Let's get a storm motion on that because I know that was the original question here. Moving
we'll just
east.
Put out some,
Go ahead. It's moving east at 30 miles an hour. Okay, so Okay. Yeah, we're going to keep going here because we're about to jump into our 10 o'clock newscast. But if we could draw maybe a storm cone on that, Scott, it's this one up here, and moving east at 30 miles an hour. Okay, we're going to be jumping into our 10 o'clock show coming up in just less than 30 seconds, coming up to us here shortly. But all right, so it is a WDSU first warning weather alert day. Meteorologist Scott Pillier and myself here tag teaming. If you're just joining us, we are in the 10 o'clock hour now, and we are starting off our newscast with a continued tornado coverage that's happening right now on the North Shore into South Mississippi. And Scott, we just had that brand new tornado warning that was just issued for southwestern Pearl River County in southern Mississippi, and it's moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. And
Derek, this entire complex of storms, I wanted to give people that are just now joining us, hopping into the 10 o'clock newscast thinking, man, we're still talking about this whole entire complex of storms when it's barely rained a drop for spots on the South Shore from Houma towards Thibodaux, New Orleans. All of the action has been north of the lake, where now over 10,000 residents, customers without power in parts of Tangipahoa, St. Tammany, and Washington parishes. We've got the tornado watch in effect for both the North Shore, South Shore, and Mississippi coast all the way through 2 o'clock in the morning. But the bulk of the action is going to be within the next 2 hours before things start to move out. So if you're watching south of the lake, the worst has not gotten to us yet. Thankfully, all things in the river parishes are currently below severe limits. We are going to focus a large part of the top of this newscast on the 2 active tornado warnings that we still have for parts of St. Tammany, Hancock, and Pearl River counties. So St. Tammany Parish, of course, is where we've had a lot of storms that have been capable of producing winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. We've gotten a lot of reports of downed trees blocking roads in some instances. I would not in any circumstance be traveling on the Causeway or the Twin Span or I-10 for the next 2 hours, especially if you're traveling I-10 eastbound towards Waveland, Gulfport, Biloxi. That's where we've got the worst of the weather right now. So here's a look at the 2 currently tornado-warned storms. The new one that Derek just mentioned, that's the one that has the most evidence of rotation moving in and very close to Picayune. So I'm going to zoom into that cell and kind of flip this to velocity mode because we do still have some pretty solid evidence of at least an appendage or a hook that's being showcased where winds are converging, and whether or not there's a tornado or not on the ground, this is not a confirmed situation. But if I was watching in Picayune, I would want to be in my safe place away from all of the windows in that innermost room, just because there have been many of these storms that have produced, whether they're weaker tornadoes or straight line winds of 70 miles per hour, they're causing damage. And You know, we have a lot of trees in parts of Pearl River County, so that's the concern. You can see right through, let's see, Jackson Landing Road. This runs right through Nicholson, and then north of there, you've got State Highway 43 that intersects with Highway 11 and 59. So there's kind of the general vicinity in the southern part of Pearl River County near Picayune, where we do have evidence of some rotation. The big concern, though, is going to be the winds. You can see these images that we've gotten already on the North Shore from spots like Hammond as well as Tickfall. My folks that are watching in Tangipahoa, I've heard from you guys saying, Scott, we've already seen the winds and the rain for 45 minutes. Are we done? Yes, the worst of the weather is now clearing Tangipahoa Parish. So the worst of the severe threat there is done. Now that line is really racing off towards the east. That's good news. We want this to be in and out of our hair. Again, if you're watching in Picayune, Nicholson, all the way east to Catahoula, that's where you need to be in that safe place. I want to pivot now to my folks that are watching in Mandeville. Mandeville, the tornado warning has been dropped. We've seen that polygon now trimmed. It extends from Lacombe right through one of the most beautiful spots, the Big Branch Wildlife Refuge. This stretch of Highway 190, beautiful, right? Very hard to see if there was a tornado coming your way. If you're watching from Slidell, you're not within, well, I shouldn't say all of Slidell. The far eastern side of both Eden Isle and Slidell, western side, excuse me, are included within this tornado warning, but Slidell proper into downtown and Eden Isle excluded from the tornado warning.
Hey, Scott, really quickly, I just wanted to mention that 9,500 outages now being reported in Tangipahoa Parish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane what we got going on. They're also mentioning National Weather Service. They're watching another strong surge near Pearl River, north of McNeil, and that's also trying to wrap up again. So that would be further east.
Derek, as well, I was just checking the map as well. We've got now over 1,000 power outages in Bogalusa proper as well. So we had, what, 2 separate tornado warnings that kind of went through Bogalusa, Bush, and Sun. So there is some evidence of power outages there as well. And it does look like a large part of downtown, there's parts of downtown Hammond as well with about 2,000 power outages. So let's go back to that warning that we've got in southern St. Tammany Parish. And I'm going to flip this back over to reflectivity, and I'm going to put this in motion so you can kind of see the evolution. You know what's interesting? We're starting to get a little bit of that gust front that's kind of preluding the main batch of storms. Scientific jargon that says that this whole batch of storms is losing a little bit of its punch, Derek. I will say that. You know, the severe weather threat is not over, but it does look like some of the more bow echo signatures, some of that like really intense wind that we saw earlier is now north of Poplarville. And I'm going to zoom out because that's where in parts of northern Pearl River County, this is where I'm really seeing the damaging wind threat right now. You know, we kind of often look for what we call the backward C, right? It kind of looks like a bow and arrow. Do y'all see that? I'm sure viewers at home can kind of see what I'm referencing. There's this backward C shape that's kind of basically parallel to I-59. So if you're watching in Poplarville right now, you just got placed under a severe thunderstorm warning.
It's tornado possible tagged on that one too.
Yeah, and you know, that's exactly what I was about to say, that we've kind of, Derek and I have been saying this throughout the newscast tonight and throughout earlier cut-ins, that these storms have kind of been acting all like tornado warnings.
We should probably watch that one further south here near Picayune, because if I remember seeing the map there, it looked like it was a little bit rather impressive if we move it a little bit further south near Picayune here.
Yep.
Okay, maybe the velocity not overly, are you on storm relative right now? Or okay, yeah. So, I mean, we don't really see like a huge, like, you know, definite circulation, but you could tell there's a little bit of some weak rotation popping up right now.
And Derek, point out to the viewers, you know, at home, that kind of sharp green line, you know, that you're seeing, like where the winds are really racing out. Derek's kind of outlining that. It's kind of paralleling the 59 corridor. So if you're watching basically from Poplarville all the way down to Picayune, I would be treating this severe thunderstorm warning
like a tornado warning.
Yeah, I would be, because each one of these have kind of spun up in rapid fashion. Not every one of these is going to go on to produce tornadoes, but we have seen a lot of damaging winds from tonight's storm. And you can see right through Pearl River County, this is a pretty sharp and kind of classic bow echo signature where you get this leading edge of winds, right? You get cold air that's getting pulled out of the storm and it's flushing out at the surface, and that's how you get trees that can all fall in one direction. That's evidence of straight line winds, and a lot of the photos that we've been pulling up, you know, I'm doing real-time analysis, but a lot of the trees all have been falling in uniform fashion, which often says, yeah, there's the photo. You know, it's hard to tell. A picture says 1,000 words, but in this case, we only know a very small sample size of the storm damage being caused. But either way, you know, damage is being caused from these storms, and we've already seen that through multiple severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings. I want to go back down because, you know, my folks that are watching in southern St. Tammany Parish right now, those of you in Mandeville, the worst has now moved out of Mandeville proper. Covington, Abita Springs, Madisonville, all clear. The worst is now moving into southeastern sections of St. Tammany Parish, but I'm seeing more of like a gust front where winds could be 45, right? 45 miles per hour, possibly a spin-up tornado, but a little bit less evidence of more organized rotation in that cell. I think really right now, the greatest concern is for folks that are watching in Picayune and for Poplarville.
Yeah, this is what I'm concerned about right here, because we did see the velocity earlier when we were showing it. It didn't look overly impressive, but the reflectivity value, however, was showing a nice little couplet right near Picayune here. So again, if you are in Picayune, you need to be seeking shelter immediately. It's basically on top of you. It's here. It's over you right now. So east of Picayune, you need to be seeking shelter here immediately, because even though this isn't a confirmed tornado, it's just a regular, basically what's called a radar indicated tornado. It's still showing signs of a pretty nice couplet feature right where Scott is circling here, just due north of Picayune, right along Highway 11. Again, this is moving towards the east, and this is what the National Weather Service was mentioning, that they're now focusing on very closely here. And even though this
kind of like that, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of exactly. You kind of see the rain and the hail being wrapped around there a little bit. So this is a very intense storm here too, that's moving in through South Mississippi right now.
And a little bit more of an uptick there, that little pixel, you know, just north of State Highway 43.
Near Richardson too, I'm seeing too. Yep. That could be some very strong wind coming in right now. We also too, Scott, have more reports coming in from Tangipahoa. Emergency management's reporting trees down on, let's see, Macedonia Road near Springfield. So we have that. I mean, that's way back to the west, right? But, you know, these are the same storms that are currently moving through South Mississippi and, you know, parts of the North Shore. Those were the same storms that moved through Tangipahoa Parish earlier that brought down severe. Okay, we got more pictures of damage coming in now on the North Shore. And look at that. Wow. Lots of tree damage. Looks like, okay, so this is coming in from Hammond. We got trees falling onto the outside furniture. And so we have, looks like chairs, looks like we got a table that's damaged. We have trees, and it looks like we have maybe some sort of debris. It's a little bit hard to tell because it's dark there in the back, but this looks like mainly tree damage again coming into Hammond. Here's another picture. Is this also coming in from Hammond too? Okay, so this is on the North Shore, not exactly where, but it comes as no surprise because this looks like straight line wind damage here to me, with multiple areas being damaged. You got, it looks like what could be some sort of fencing back there.
Look like several sheds that kind of just got ripped apart by winds, obviously, that we've seen. I mean, the power outages speak for themselves. You know, the North Shore, obviously we have a lot of trees, beautiful foliage that's just starting to come out. And look, the more leaves that are on the trees, the more that the trees can get toppled down. So we're zooming in right there. This looks like Tickfaw towards near Roseland and my folks in Tangipahoa. Kentwood, not a ton of power outages in Kentwood proper, but it looks like just south of you, closer towards Tangipahoa and Fluker and Roseland, that's where we've seen a lot more outages. Parts of Amite without power, and several communities kind of just on the northern extent, basically everywhere on 55, stretching from Tangipahoa to Roseland is without power right now. So that's a very large section of zone that I would not be on the roads, right? If you're traveling right now and, you know, you encounter downed trees, best to pull over and wait for emergency crews to remove some of this debris. We don't exactly know what may be on the roads at this point in time. I do want to go back and show you this right behind me because this is very interesting. The rotation detector has kind of been going up and down with both moderate to occasionally strong signatures of rotation. And what's fascinating is that basically the entire line, right, has some sort of rotation being detected. This whole entire line of storms has a lot of wind shear, winds that are turning in both direction and also increasing in speed with height. So we're seeing evidence of rotation. And look, right where the rotation is the strongest is where we currently have 2 active tornado warnings. So some evidence of rotation right between the Wildlife Refuge in Big Branch and in Lacombe, and then also approaching the 59 corridor, very close towards Picayune. Now, the southern cell, in my opinion, the cell that I'm talking about in southern sections of St. Tammany Parish, looks to be weakening. Not as much evidence of a compact rotation signature. The big concern right now,
it just looks like heavy rain down there right now in St. Tammany. So that's a good sign because we still need the rain, right, from the drought perspective of things. But, you know, just like what you were mentioning, Scott, near Picayune, that tornado warning, that is what we're focusing on right now as it continues to track towards the east. We got some more damage reports, too, coming. I know we've been busy with Tangipahoa Parish, but there's more coming in from emergency management. Trees down near along Briar Patch Cemetery Road and Neal Road, and that's east of Amite City here, too.
And you know,
they just issued another tornado warning for Hancock and for St. Tammany. So we can go on that here, too. And there's also more.
There's the one right there along 59 just north of I-10. This does include Pearl River and the north side of Slidell. So there's the brand new tornado warning. Derek, great job relaying that right as it popped up, before it popped up on screen. So let's go flip back over to the... Okay, we have a picture of a tree that's toppled onto a car. This is kind of what we've been talking about, y'all, that whether or not we're seeing actual tornadoes on the ground or just straight line damaging winds, we've seen a lot of storm damage reports coming in tonight. So take these severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings seriously, because oftentimes we talk about these things and maybe nothing happens. But when we actually have ground truth, viewer-submitted information, and a lot of information coming into the National Weather Service chat that Derek's been operating all night long. Derek's been talking, by the way, for close to 4 hours straight, it feels like. You've been doing a great job. These storms have been packing a punch, and they're definitely ones to be taking seriously. So for folks that are watching right now in the east side of St. Tammany Parish as well.
Scott, I was just going to let you know, too, because you're talking about eastern St. Tammany. They're talking about another strong circulation east of St. Joe, north of Slidell. So, yeah, that's pretty much what that's what we're watching right now.
There it is. There's St. Joe right here. We're going to turn on the velocity.
And St. Tammany Parish coming in. We got ham operators.
There it is, right there.
Yep. Okay.
That's some of the stronger rotation that we've seen.
That's what does it look like right now on velocity or?
Velocity not nearly,
or CC maybe?
Yeah, velocity not nearly as impressive, but let's go over to the correlation coefficient. Definitely
a little bit of something there.
A little bit of a dropout. You know, we've been talking about this. When you see those colors of like yellow, little bit of green, that can indicate, you can see the scale here, right? When you see the deeper shades of blue, this bar is a little bit difficult for folks at home to see, but typically the reds and the pinks, you see all the reds and pinks over here, that's just meteorological. That's raindrops or possible hailstones. But when you start to see these brighter colors, right, colors of yellow and especially green and blue, that's a much more well-pronounced signature of possible debris. That could be shingles, that could be tree debris, that could just be dust and dirt being lofted into the air from these strong gusty winds. So it's often hard to tell and detect exactly what might be lofted.
Scott, we got some video coming in now. Can you say it one more time there, Scott? You said Highway 51 near Roseland? Highway 51 north of Roseland. We got some impressive video. Look at the trees there covering, I'm going to step out of the way, but you see the trees there covering the roadway. And, you know, speaking of high winds, we have more high winds now being reported coming into Picayune and the Nicholson areas as well. And the National Weather Service is also mentioning there's strong circulation moving east near Hasswood. So, you know, everything right now, again, moving east, but this is what we're watching this cell now, in particular near St. Joe. There is some definite rotation within this. We have seen some weak rotation.
I'm trying to toggle this for you so you can kind of, within the past couple of scans, we've seen, you know, these have been really rapid in how quick they can form. They're very difficult. We've seen multiple tornado warnings along the same line of storms. The one that we're looking at right now, I'm talking specifically to folks that are watching on the north side of Slidell. This is closer towards St. Joe, so basically right between Pearl River and Slidell, closer towards Davis Landing, is the community of Davis Landing is where we've got the strongest indication of rotation. And we are getting an update from CLECO as well. St. Tammany Parish now over 2,000 customers without power. So that puts the total well above 12,000 for all of the North Shore thus far. Folks that are watching in Davis Landing, again, for folks that are watching in Slidell right now, this is where there's Stennis Space Center, right? Catahoula north. We've got Picayune further north on 59. This is right in the Pearl River watershed, close to Davis Landing. So if you're watching along I-10 north of, let's say, the Kiln, Pearlington, Waveland, Bay St. Louis, north of there, closer towards Stennis, that's where this is moving. Again, I mentioned several minutes ago, if you're watching from Slidell and you're like, hey, I'm about to head out, head out and try to get to the Mississippi coast after work or something this evening, please delay that because we've got ongoing tornado warning in effect for eastern parts of St. Tammany and western parts of Hancock County. This is going to be moving just north of Pearlington, moving east-southeast at 35 miles per hour, about to move in close towards where some of the Pearl River watershed runs. And so a little bit less populated in this zone south of Stennis. But as we go into parts of Hancock County, Derek, that's where we have much more population just east of there. Yeah, they're talking about probable tornado debris signature moving east now into the Pearl River Basin. Yep. So we have that there. Okay, there now we have, there it is. Yep. Yeah, they're continuing a tornado warning observed. Okay, so now that's observed. That's going until 10:45 right now. Yeah, so we should see that tag change any moment. There's the signature. Right in here, right? Yeah, right where the finger is. So that is where we do have that circulation here, just near, I would probably say just northeast of Country Manor. Yeah, okay, so we're zooming in a little bit tighter now towards Davis Landing. This is where we have that circulation. I don't think the CC, it was kind of there, right? It was a little bit of something, but we do see here on the velocity product that we have the greens and the reds here matching up together, which does show us that we do have some tightening circulation. I'm going to go back to that shear. Maybe we'll show the shear swath. Yeah, this is just within the past 15 minutes, and it's kind of difficult to see in the map behind me, but the shear swath is basically a fancy term for saying where have we seen the rotation or the spin in the atmosphere in the last 15 minutes. And you can see here's Slidell, north of there, Brookwood Estates, and then again, we've been talking a lot about St. Joe and Davis Landing. That's where the National Weather Service mentioning that we had a debris dropout or debris signature being shown as this cell is now moving basically right over the Davis Landing community and then into the Pearl River Basin. A lot of you are probably familiar when you cross the bridge from Louisiana into Mississippi. That's the general region of where we've got the ongoing tornado warning. Slidell and Eden Isle. You can see, and look, that's pretty remarkable, Derek. You can see all of that shear. I'll kind of flip over here and flip the other way so you can see all of this red and green that we were seeing on the map. That's the rotation. It moved its way through Mandeville. It weakened a little bit, as we mentioned, over the wildlife refuge between Big Branch and Lacombe. And now we've seen it pick back up in intensity just north of Slidell and moving into eastern parts of St. Tammany Parish as well as Hancock County. So if you're watching right now in the Kill over towards Bay St. Louis and Ocean Springs, be closely watching these cells because they're racing east-southeast, and with time, more of the Mississippi coast is going to be seeing this storm. Derek, you know what we should probably do as well? For folks that are watching on the South Shore, I know that we do now have a couple of stronger storms that are below severe limits. You know, these are still packing a punch, though. The ones that are moving into the river parishes, just near Kenner as well, starting to pick up in intensity a bit there too.
A lot of Western Metro looking at some heavy rain currently moving into the New Orleans Metro. But the good thing here is this along the South Shore into the Causeway, not looking severe right now. It's just a lot of heavy rain that continues to move through. But I know we're really concerned about that storm, though, that was located near Pearl River or Slidell. And by the way, that cell is moving east at 30 miles an hour. We can kind of see it a little bit better from a rotation detector standpoint, showing you where we do have some of the best rotation being embedded within the storm right now. So again, this is a confirmed tornado, not from any spotters, but just from radar indication that we are seeing that we do have a tornado that's currently in progress here right now. Let's see if any more updates coming in at the moment. So they have, okay, so they're issuing a tornado warning for Hancock, Mississippi, Pearl River. I believe that's a new one coming in, 1022. So that's going to go until 11:15. That one is about 14 miles northeast of Picayune. Yep. And that's moving east at 20.
It just populated here as well.
So, you know, we're not done. We still got a lot of these that are still popping off. Tornado warnings or confirmed tornado warnings embedded within the strong squall line of damaging winds that continues to race and advance its way towards the east. So there's plenty more here to come. But once this initial line begins to move through, we should be in better shape. I think a lot of it behind it's probably just going to be some gusty wind at time, maybe some rain. But this is what we're watching right now, especially for you on the North Shore into South Mississippi. Tornado warnings up and down here across parts of the North Shore into southern Mississippi again.
And we did just see the shear rate pop up a little bit more near Slidell, too. You know, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen the severe thunderstorm. Are they mentioning that?
Well, they're just mentioning that the new surge is tightening up in northeast Hancock County now. Yep. So we might have an additional warning potentially there, potentially as it continues moving east. So yeah, there's a lot here going on right now. If you're in southern Mississippi, you are taking the brunt of this right now. What was on the far North Shore has now finally made its way this far east. So to give you an idea, there's the new tornado warning that was just issued. So now that's I believe just, you know, getting close to exiting our viewing area. But regardless, you see how far that line has finally advanced towards the east. And again, back to the west, just like what we were talking about earlier too, Scott, just a lot of rain continuing to come down. Where we have the confirmed damage in Tangipahoa Parish, there's more rain coming in here. So, you know, there's going to be a long cleanup effort going into, you know, probably not going to do a whole lot here tonight, but definitely tomorrow once we get a nice day out here coming up behind the storm system. But again, a lot of heavy rain currently moving into the Western Metro, the river parishes, now pushing through I-10 towards New Orleans Metro as well. And we don't have severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings for this, which is good news. But, you know, we might have to just in case, watch out for any possible flood alerts that pop up. But the good thing is that this thing is racing so fast, we're more than likely not going to have too much in the way of concern of flooding. But we'll just keep an eye on it regardless. But it looks like all of this, though, to the south, definitely does not look like it's really too much in the way of a severe risk, in my opinion. It's mainly up on the North Shore where we've been seeing it.
And Derek, the one thing that I will say, you know, these storms, while they're below severe limits, they are still packing a little bit of a punch. You know, I did see a spike of a couple of power outages that are showing up on the north side of Vacherie. That's when I thought, like, okay, I saw some of the velocity scans picking up with at least 45-mile-per-hour winds possible. So, you know, we're starting to see a lot of the trees leaf out. That makes it much easier for a tree branch to just quickly fall on one power line. That's all it takes to cause a power surge or a power outage. But I really think, you know, where we've seen the bulk of the action has been on the North Shore. These are viewer-submitted images that we've gotten. We're also getting outages, by the way, Scott. Over 400 outages currently in New Orleans, according to our producer. Yeah, and you know, that's remarkable, right? We haven't even seen a ton of rain just yet, just a few thunderstorms that have passed through. We're scrolling through a couple of the images of the types of damage that we have seen. Again, it has been a lot of tree damage rather than structural damage from things that we have seen so far. But that goes without saying. We've seen some minor structures, especially garages, trampolines, sheds, those kinds of things have exhibited more wind damage on the North Shore. And we've seen a lot of power outages. Look at the tree there. You can see it's really started to leaf out. Hopefully it missed that car. 1,600 now without power in Lafourche Parish. Yep. Way down in the bayou. And, you know, you would think, like, you know,
North Shore has been getting at the brunt of it, but you would think like, wow, the bayou. But yes, we're getting power outages pretty much widespread now. Scott, if we can focus on the Hancock County tornado now, or just they're talking about the circulation that's continuing to intensify in northeast Hancock County. They're saying that a tornado appears to be imminent there right now.
Right near Crane Creek.
Yeah.
Yep. So this was
we're
603.
Yeah, and we're kind of getting a little bit far from the radar site here, so this looks a little bit more pixelated than it is. Maybe not as well defined, but you kind of get the idea where the colors are matching up a little bit, prompting them to go ahead and issue this tornado warning. What does the CC look like on this? Probably, I would guess, maybe not as impressive either. Maybe there's a little bit of a spike here potentially.
It did look like there. Look, there it was. I think that's probably why they said.
That's probably why they did that. Yeah. Okay. It looks like the debris signature might be crossing the road there right now. I believe that was at 603.
Yep.
Okay, that's coming in. So near Jordan Road and looks like State Highway 603. Yes. Okay, it's on the north side of it there. So that's where we do have the tornado warning right now. It's not a confirmed tornado, it's radar indicated, but we are seeing some sort of debris signature. And I think on the reflectivity, we can kind of see the inflow notch a little bit, maybe somewhere in here near Crane Creek. So that's what we're looking at here right now. And there's the rotation detector showing where we have some of the higher rotation going on towards Jordan Creek and 603. So this is where, now you see it moving east closer towards the town of Crane Creek. So again, if you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. We do have a tornado warning in effect for you, and it continues moving towards the east very quickly. I believe that, these are still hauling like 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen the rotation now with the southernmost storm. Folks that are watching in Slidell, I want to flip back over to this because a lot of us in Slidell just experiencing tornadoes more frequently in the past 3 years. The heaviest rain right now located right across I-10 and into parts of the 59 corridor. Heavy rain, thunderstorms, very strong winds, 40 to possibly 60 miles per hour. But the greatest rotation is now moving out of Slidell proper and moving into the Pearl River watershed. That doesn't mean that we don't have storms out and about, but I would stay in that safe space away from the windows if you're on the north side of Slidell. Heavy rain and storms, no doubt. In Eden Isle, Slidell, lightning counter has dropped a little bit. That's some good news with the storm in southern parts of St. Tammany Parish, but it's right here, right along I-10, that if you just don't have to be on the roads the next hour and a half or so, I would not do so. So if you're watching in Slidell and thinking, I got to get to the Mississippi coast, or maybe you're watching in New Orleans saying, Scott, Derek, can I cross the Twin Span anytime soon?
The answer is no.
Yeah, I know. But really nice weather is on the way. We just got to get over the hump of the next hour and a half, 2 hours. I think by 1 to 2 a.m., all of this mess is going to be exiting southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi. Look at this video coming in from the North Shore. This is why we've seen a large part of the 55 corridor knocked out of power. This is on Highway, let's see, 51 north of Roseland.
And we're also getting more power that's flickering on and off. It's in Slidell on Brown Switch and Robert. So, again, North Shore, that's where we've been seeing a lot of the damage, a lot of the tree damage, a lot of the power outages coming down. There's some more that we've been showing here recently in Tickfaw and Hammond, with a lot of these straight line wind type of stuff that's been moving in from the west and just blasting east. They're continuing the tornado warning as well for Hancock, Mississippi. They're still tagging that. Or I'm sorry, they're still continuing the severe thunderstorm warning for Hancock, Pearl River, Mississippi. They still have that tagged as a tornado warning, or as a tornado possible, I should say. So there's a look at more damage, as you can see, and this has just been what it's been so far for you on the North Shore, especially in Tangipahoa, where we have seen pretty much widespread damage of either power outages being reported, or trees down, or any type of debris that we might have flying around out there. And all of that has now pushed again into South Mississippi, where we have a lot of tornado warnings currently in effect. So if you are in these polygons, continue to take this seriously. There's a long, rich history of these storms producing a lot of damage and power outages. So continue to seek shelter, get to the lowest floor of your home or business, stay away from windows, get into an interior closet, and just hunker down here for the next probably hour or two as this thing continues to make its way towards the east very quickly, Scott.
What's remarkable is that, you know, the Storm Prediction Center earlier, they highlighted parts of the North Shore all the way to near Alexandria with one of the higher tier threats being damaging straight line winds, right? They made that notion, and we did not want to see it verified, but very clearly we've seen the greatest damaging wind threat north of the lake and now moving into southern Mississippi. So we've got 3 active tornado warnings, most of them now within the eastern part and southeastern part of Hancock and St. Tammany Parish. The heaviest and the worst of the weather now moving its way out of Slidell, moving into areas just north of Pearlington. I want to show you the reflectivity to just kind of give you a broad idea of where the heaviest of the rain is moving in. But you can see right now, just east of I-10, we're starting to get a little bit more of a bow echo signature now showing up with this cell that's moving just north of the Wrigley's. There's Eden Isle, here's Slidell. And if you look at this map, you can kind of see this backwards C shape that kind of looks like a bow and arrow. When I start to see that, I start to think a couple of things. The big concern starts to be more of a straight line damaging wind risk rather than a tornado threat. However, when you get this strong push of winds, typically on the north side, you can start to get some embedded rotation. You probably hear me say it all the time, an embedded spin-up tornado threat. They're typically very hard to detect. They're typically very fast moving, and that's why when you see these warnings issued, you got to treat them seriously because things can happen fast. We haven't had a confirmed tornado tag with this specific cell yet, but it does have a history of producing a debris signature back through its lifetime. This is the same cell for my folks watching in Mandeville. This is the same cell that pushed through Madisonville, Mandeville, Lacombe, and now it's moving east of Slidell. So there's Pearlington right on the leading edge of this tornado warned storm. I would make sure you're in your safe space there. And further down I-10, I'm looking at you in Bay St. Louis as well as the Kiln. That's where we've got 2 active tornado warnings that are kind of approaching the eastern side of Hancock County. So Waveland as well as Bay St. Louis. My folks that are watching from near the Claremont Harbor, this would be the time to just be ready to act if and when a tornado warning gets issued. Let's go zoom back out, and I want to show you the shear rate. And look, Derek, there's that little bit of an uptick that I was kind of I mentioned the bow echo, or that signature that kind of showed more evidence of straight line winds. And so we're seeing an uptick in rotation as well with this right along Highway 90. This is again moving towards Pearlington. Scenic Highway 90. Let's zoom in here. There's River Oaks, Harmony Heights, and then again, of course, Eden Isle moving its way right towards Pearlington. So we're going to watch that close because that's moving into an already warned cell. Could see an additional severe thunderstorm or tornado warning issued. And then I want to go back out a little bit. Now this is interesting. You can see several storms. Basically, Derek, if you want to point out to the viewers, this entire line that stretches from basically south central Mississippi all the way down now into parts of the South Shore has these little blips of green that are being showcased, meaning that all of these storms are producing very gusty winds. Some of them not severe, but some of them are borderline strong to severe storms.
Right, and some of them may even pop up a brief tornado here too. That's what we've been watching here all night long, especially on the North Shore. But let's go ahead and go down towards St. Charles Parish here, Scott, because now the National Weather Service has mentioned that they are seeing higher velocity returns coming away from the terminal airport, upwards of 50 to 55 miles an hour. Okay, so this is what we're going to be having to watch here next very closely because we didn't have any severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings anywhere south of the lake. Now we're going to have to watch this very closely on the southern extent of this line to see if we do have any more severe thunderstorms or tornado warnings popping up. But as of right now, there is some heavy rain. I'm sure there's very strong winds here near Paradis, Des Allemands, Highway 90, Bayou Gauche, and near Luling, looking at some very heavy rain. Very strong winds. I wouldn't be shocked here coming in. We're seeing some lightning flaring up here. That means that the storm is likely intensifying here too. And then you see down towards Raceland, Thibodaux. We're watching these cells here next as they move generally towards the northeast. We might have to watch carefully for more severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings that might be popping up here, Scott. But as of right now, this is a lot of heavy rain for sure coming in. And maybe we can query, in fact, some of those storms that we might have here on the velocity product to see how strong some of these wind speeds here are coming in right now. So again, if you are South Shore, look at that. 62. Once that we saw 69, just 82 miles, 90 miles an hour, just south of Lutcher near the river parishes.
Some of those might be lofted just a little bit above the surface.
The radar's pretty far up on the North Shore.
Yeah, so some of that might just be above ground level. But you know, we talk about these storms. The atmosphere is a fluid, right? So as these storms are moving in, they're pushing very cold air down to the surface, and that spreads out. That's how you can get the straight line, gusty, damaging winds. And so although our velocity product earlier was showing winds in excess of 70, 80 miles per hour for parts of the North Shore, we've started to see the velocities pick up a bit on the South Shore. So that's why we've seen, it looks like, close to 1,000 residents that are now without power in St. James Parish. We've also had the National Weather Service chat mentioning that the velocity signatures are going up in parts of Lafourche as well as St. Charles parishes. And you can kind of see our rotation detector kind of doing a weeble wobble, right? It briefly shows an uptick of spin, then it goes back to more of just straight line winds rather than rotation being evident.
And that's kind of what the National Weather Service is saying right now too, that the storms currently that are in around the Lafourche area, they're trying to organize according to them, but they're not getting any indication of the tornadoes with this, or a tornado indication with this rather, because it's kind of like what we've been mentioning. They cycle up and down very, very quickly when we have a strong line of storms moving their way here. So we have some of these quick embedded spin-ups. They may not last very long, but the radar, regardless though, will pick it up here every now and then to prompt the National Weather Service to go ahead and just issue some of these tornado warnings here right now.
And Derek, the good thing about all of these cells that are currently on their way through parts of Hancock County, none of them are exhibiting the same level of debris signature that some of them had, what, 45 minutes ago? So that doesn't mean that we can't see them cycle back up, right? We've seen this basically for the past 2.5, 3 hours where the cells look like they may be weakening, only for them to briefly spike back up in intensity. But all the way through this line, if you're watching in Burlington right now, no doubt you're getting some gusty winds at least 45 to 50 miles per hour. Now, that would be just below severe limits, but we have seen this cell exhibit some rotation in its lifetime. It was moving just south of the Stennis Space Center. If you're familiar with the region, it was moving right along through the Pearl River watershed. Now it's moving on the north side of Burlington, and look at that. As I said that, we see a little bit more of an uptick. I'm going to zoom back in here. You can see right on the north side of Burlington, as we were talking about it, you can see it was basically red, not a whole lot of green, and then the uptick, right? So right at the end of this scan, right along Graveline Road, this is where we've got Old Scenic Highway 90 with the intersection of 10. That's where we've got a little bit of an uptick of rotation. So it's right within the tornado warned polygon. If you were watching, though, in the Kiln, Diamond Head to Bay St. Louis, I've got my eyes on southern parts of Mississippi for at least an extension of a severe thunderstorm warning. That would mean winds in excess of 45 to 60 miles per hour because of that little uptick of wind shear or rotation being seen. You're like, Scott, where is this? The little green pixel right about here south of I-10. I'm going to zoom in again. This is right on Graveline Road, basically at the intersection with 90.
We got some more damage reports coming in from St. Tammany, by the way. Structural damage in St. Tammany, doors that blew open and some stock blown down around. Didn't exactly say where, but that's coming in from the St. Tammany Parish government. So, yeah, just a lot more of damage reports that continue to funnel in here to WDSU.
There it is.
There's the rotation tracker that we were just looking at here, south of
definitely more
I-10.
Consolidated.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have something there that's moving still directly to the east. They've been cycling up and down just all night long. This one is a perfect example of one cycling down and then cycling back up again.
Yep.
And that's what we have to monitor very closely, and which is why we still have these tornado warnings up, just in case they cycle back up again, to where it allows the National Weather Service to say, hey, we might have something here, and we got to take it seriously to where we have to seek shelter.
I would expect them to extend that. I'm wondering if we're going to get a word from them.
And I'll keep an eye on it, too. Right now, I don't see that coming in. Well, okay, let's see. This came in about 2 minutes ago, but they're talking about the storm down in the bayou. So if you want to go to the bayou really quick, Scott, near Raceland, they're saying rotation is trying to organize east of Raceland. The orientation of the storm line, they're saying it's not as favorable as farther north, which is like what you and I have been talking about.
Right.
But a brief tornado could occur with this as it tries to move south-southeast towards Matthews and was it Lockport here?
I do see what they're, I see exactly, to your point, what they just mentioned is that this line of storms, it's kind of marching out a little bit slowly towards the south. You can kind of see it drifting as the entire complex drifts south. It's not nearly as favorable for the tornadic setup when you have that arching bow. However, within some of these appendages, you kind of mentioned the one that's just east of Thibodaux and kind of moving in south of Terrio.
Yeah, you know, we might be able to see this better from WDSU First Warning Doppler radar from Chalmette. Because we can pick that up better on the south shore here too, since we're down there. We might be able to see some rotation here coming in.
There we go.
Okay, so, you know, I mean, it kind of looks the same, but regardless, though, we are kind of seeing a little bit of something that could be coming in towards the Raceland area here too. So regardless, again, no warning right now, but we got a lot of strong winds coming in towards you currently. So expect possible power outages, expect possible damage. So something that we have to keep a close eye on. Would not be surprised to see more tree damage potentially. That's the type of damage reports that we've been getting so far all night long. And of course, very heavy rain. Lightning coming
and the rain is definitely coming down across the metro. Basically extends all the way from Thibodaux to Luling. My folks that are watching in Metairie, we've started to see the heavy rain into parts of the West Bank. So very heavy rain, but all below severe limits. We've seen a lot of lightning, and the lightning counter has been upticking a little bit, but still only around 30 strikes. As we zoom out, though, you can see the lightning counter goes way up. I want to show you one more time that cell that's kind of moving through southern parts of Hancock County. This is the one that still has a tornado warning tag on it. It has shown a slight uptick in the rotation as it moves and approaches kind of the Bayside Park. But look at that last scan. Now it's kind of started to fade back a little bit. So this has been the trend, and it's been a pickle all night long. Derek's been doing a wonderful job kind of walking through the difficulties that come with a predominantly straight line wind event, is that you can have these quick embedded spin-up tornadoes. So right now, we still have an active tornado warning that was just allowed to drop.
Yep, they dropped.
Boom. Yes, we like to see it. Still, though, some minor rotation evident there.
Oh, good news. And they're saying that all the tornado warnings have been allowed to expire. That's great.
Wonderful. And that's the first time you can say that in...
For how long now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been wild. But yes.
Derek needs bottles of water.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to, now that we have a moment to kind of breathe for a second, is give viewers a wider perspective of where this entire batch of storms, and look at that line. I mean, through parts of southern Mississippi is where we've still got this well-pronounced bow echo. That's going to be moving its way into parts of southeastern Mississippi, Gulfport, Biloxi, over to Mobile. My folks that are watching from there may be streaming us live on our app or online on Facebook and other platforms as well. That's where we've got the greatest severe weather threat at this moment. Now, North Shore, all clear for most of us that are watching in parts of Tangipahoa, where we've had over 10,000 power outages. Also seen a bunch of power outages in Washington Parish and St. Tammany Parish. Light to moderate rain going to continue to move its way through, which will certainly not make it easy to see any of the debris that we've got. A lot of downed trees being reported from Fluker to Roseland. Folks in Bogalusa, we've seen multiple. Look at these larger trees
coming down there, crossing the roads, and you see the fire department looks like it's in that picture on the right. And I mean, yeah, these are very large trees that are coming down here, blowing
I'm
across
trying to look.
the
I'm going to get a little bit closer. Are those pine trees in this? Looks like some bigger water oaks in that one. You know, I often try to look and see what type of trees, because different trees have different structural integrity. So I like to see which ones have been coming down. Yes, again, this whole complex has such a history with producing storms. That's why we've seen a lot of power outages. And as Derek and I have been mentioning, if you can, just stay off the roadways. We just saw that picture. Big shout out to all of our emergency responders that are already out there. I mean, they are doing their best to get not only the lights turned back on if you're at home without power, but also to clean the roads. We've seen a lot of trees that are knocked down. So big shout out to all of our emergency operations that are getting the roads clear as the storms begin to exit the North Shore. That's where we've seen the worst of the damage so far tonight. For the North Shore, again, all clear for folks that are watching in much of Tangipahoa Parish. Some light to moderate rain still moving its way through the next couple of hours, but the greatest severe weather threat now extends through parts of the Bayou parishes, Terrebonne, Lafourche into St. Charles Parish, and in the New Orleans metro, we've got some light to moderate rain, heavier rain now moving its way into the West Bank, but all of these are below severe limits. Well,
actually,
there it is.
I was just going to say,
the new severe thunderstorm
warning. Severe thunderstorm, and it's also been tagged as tornado possible. So that's something that we're just going to have to watch here. But that expires at 11:30. Because I was about to say, you know, we might do like a quick radar tour and then kind of get off for a moment in case we have to go back in. But we might want to stay with this since it's now in the metro too, and also it's tornado possible tagged as well.
Yeah,
Hancock County and Harrison towards Orleans and St. Tammany all under this warning.
I was kind of surprised that we didn't see this extended a little bit earlier. You know, we were watching that rotation that was evident, but this whole line, I mean, this is where we've seen this line. I'm going to zoom out so for folks at home can get an idea. And I would love to have a tracker. Let me see if I can do a quick estimate for you. This line of storms now extends basically, that's 150 miles. 150 miles from basically the Wrigley's all the way up to Demopolis, Alabama, a 150-plus mile length of severe thunderstorm warning. So pretty expansive line of storms. I want to focus in my folks that are watching in southern Hancock County. So anywhere from Waveland towards Diamond Head, the Kill, past Christiane, Long Beach. I'm talking to you. The concern at this moment is straight line damaging winds, but we've kind of been talking about this all night, is that each one of these severe thunderstorm warnings, while the rotation isn't overly strong, I'm going to zoom in here and you can see just towards the north of Ansley, this is north of Waveland, right north of Claremont Harbor, and folks that are watching, just north of Bayside Park. That's where we've got this area of rotation that's moving towards the east-southeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So along Old Scenic Highway 90 into Waveland and Bay St. Louis, yes, I do think you'll want to be in that safe spot, at least in the most inner room, you know, away from the windows. A lot of the damage that we've been seeing is tree and minor structural damage. So things like shingles and trampolines, the things that can get lofted very quick and easy. That's the kind of damage that we've been seeing. But a lot of trees that have been coming down, knocking out the power. So right now, this area just east of Pearlington, moving into Bayside Park. There it is, Bayside Park and Claremont Harbor. And my folks in Waveland, this area has moderate rotation. You can see it here highlighted in green. That's moving its way into more densely populated areas. So again, could there be a brief spin-up tornado? I think it's possible, but the bigger concern is the brief gusty winds. So hunker down, stay indoors. Don't go outside trying to watch it. It's late at night. It's almost 11 p.m. It's very dark. And that's how you can really put yourself in danger. You know, if you go out and then there's trees blocking the road and blinding rain, forget about it, right? So just stay hunkered down. We don't have a tornado warning, but Derek, echo that sentiment that, you know, they're still mentioning tornado possible in the tag.
Yeah, so that's something that we just have to watch closely, which is why we're not completely going off the air just yet, because anytime we have a strong severe thunderstorm warning, or AKA tornado possible tag with that severe thunderstorm warning, that means that we might see this get upgraded to a tornado warning at any point or any time. So which is why we're going to keep it here to WDSU, keep you updated on that as well. But we're also monitoring, they're also seeing that same spot that you were watching there, Scott, just east of Pearlington. Has a stronger rotation there. And that's what you were just focusing on here. Looks like near Highway 90, east of the town here coming up. So it's moving east into southern Hancock, moving towards Lake Shore, and also towards Waveland is what they're focusing on. There you can see Lake Shore.
It's almost two areas of rotation now. And we've seen this kind of time after time. The northern cell, like the northern cell typically is the first to get tornado warned, and then the southern cell starts to take over. So Derek is kind of walking you through two different pieces of energy in the atmosphere, but one that's really starting to get a little bit more feisty right near the Wrigley's, connecting Lake Pontchartrain to Lake Bourne, just north of the Sound. You can see this cell. This is the one in southern parts of Hancock County, right close to Claremont Harbor and Bayside Park on the east side, on the west side of Waveland, north of Ansley. So let's go zoom in here. The reflectivity doesn't tell you a whole lot, right? It kind of just looks like a big blob of red, right? We've got very heavy rain, but then let's look at the inner workings. We like to say that the velocity product kind of gives us a bird's eye view of what's going on with the winds within the thunderstorm. So as you zoom in, there's two areas of rotation. You can see one right here near Highway 90, Old Scenic Highway 90, that runs into Bay St. Louis. One area of rotation there that's going to be moving very close towards Bayside Park. Let's see. Lulu's Bar and Seafood right there along Old Scenic Highway 90. That's the zone. Right near Bay Hideaway RV Park and Campground is where that northern piece of energy is located. Again, it's not tornado warned, but that's where we have maybe an uptick in wind speeds, 50 to 60 plus miles per hour. Derek, did they put a considerable tag on that, or just a mention of 60 plus?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for right now. They are mentioning 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. It's moving to the east at 45 miles an hour. I don't see anything that's considerable, but they're just still tagging it as tornado possible. And of course, all of this is still being radar indicated at this time. So again, you know, if you're near Pearlington here across southern Mississippi, we're looking at very strong gusty winds that continue to move through. There's Bayside Park, okay? There we see a little bit of some rotation popping up here, also near Claremont Harbor, right near the coast, as a matter of fact. We're watching what could be some rotation beginning to develop within the storm, which is why the National Weather Service has cautioned this could be tornado possible signatures that might be developing, which is why they put that on the severe thunderstorm warning. So that's why we're still watching carefully in case this does possibly try to get upgraded here at the moment. But as of right now, again, no tornado warning here at this time, just a severe thunderstorm warning, packing a punch now across much of southern Mississippi. This was all the activity that was across the North Shore earlier has now tracked and finally raced its way towards the east. And we are seeing the debris here, as Scott was just picking up on the debris, but the rotation detector still showing that we're looking at some pretty moderate to strong rotation that's popping up right now just north of Ansley and along Highway 90, mainly west of Waveland and Bay St. Louis up towards Highway 43. And look how broad it is too, Scott.
Yeah.
You know, so we're seeing broad embedded rotation within this strong line of weather.
Almost on the entire, it really is remarkable to see just these little blips of rotation basically along the entire line. So, you know, just had one of our fantastic producers in my ear saying, it's interesting that we've already seen the power outages being increased across the South Shore when we haven't even had severe thunderstorm warnings. We've had special weather statements. Special weather statement is like one category underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, saying like, hey, you've got the potential for strong storms, whether or not they do widespread damage. Look, if you're one of the households without power, you're seeing impacts. So on the South Shore, you can see these little blips. If I'm watching right now from Jean Lafitte over towards Belle Chase, maybe my folks that are watching in Chalmette and Araby and Violet, I wouldn't be surprised. And let's see, Scott, Scott, our producer, Scott is our fantastic producer in my ear. Scott, how many power outages did you say we now have in St. Bernard Parish? 1,100. Yeah, so 1,100 power outages. And you can kind of see just now moving past Poydras, we now have, looks like...
Is that a flood advisory?
Yeah, it looks like aerial flood. Yeah, flood advisory for the metro. So this includes folks that are watching from basically the entire South Shore of Lake Pontchartrain, stretching all the way from Norco and Hanville and Destrehan all the way into Kenner, River Ridge, Metairie, New Orleans. This does include folks in... all the way through the lower 9 as well as Araby. So heavy rain, we've seen about an inch in some spots, probably going to pick up close to another inch. So quick ponding of water on the roadways is likely, and you can kind of see, I'm going to put this in motion for you. The great thing about this setup from the get-go, Derek, was that at least it's moving.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
These storms have some very intense rainfall rates, but they're moving. They are not stalling out. So we're going to see this move through this evening and into the early overnight. But by 1, 2 o'clock, it's out of here. And I mean, I am looking forward to the calmer weather to come as we go through the next couple of days. I do want to zoom in. I wouldn't be surprised to see an uptick in some sporadic power outages right here. You see this little piece, Derek, that kind of just popped up between Harahan, Wagaman, in towards West Wego.
It's like bowing out a little bit.
Little bit of, yeah, just a little bit, kind of just
right in here.
The southern end of this line of storms. Derek's kind of outlining it for you. I'm going to pull
just south
up.
of Harahan.
Yeah, it's this little piece right there. With it's not severe warned.
We might be able to pull it up on the velocity product too.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see. You can see a little bit of a brighter pixelation there. Again, this is under severe limits, but as we kind of diagnostically look at the radar, we've been trying to look for clues as to why, we've seen some areas get more power outages than other. And I wouldn't be surprised right near West Wego
Scott,
and Wagaman.
They're going to go ahead and issue a tornado warning coming in for Diamond Head and Waveland.
Okay.
I believe that's still in our viewing area too.
Yep. That is right here near...
it's on the far eastern fringe.
Yep, right here near... This is the part... So we're zooming back out.
Yep.
And this is that same cell. There it is. Yep.
And I'll tell you the specifics on that once we get it in here. But you might be able to click it here to see there it is until 11:30.
Yep. So this is going into Harrison County from Hancock County.
It looks like it's here, Scott, like around the I-10.
Yep. Look at that.
Yeah, you see it, and it's, again, very broad, but what we're seeing here earlier from the velocity standpoint was that there was some colors here matching up together to indicate that we did have some rotation right up along Interstate 10. Again, this is into Harrison, Mississippi, Harrison County, Mississippi. You see the rotation there that Scott just drew. So far eastern fringe now of our viewing area, but we're still covering it here for you because I know we got some viewers down there, base St. Louis area here too, and just north. But so we also got more wind reports coming in from lakefront. They're saying that they got strong marine gusts to 45 knots.
Yeah, this is
just
interesting.
All strong winds.
It is very interesting where this is located. If I'm watching right now in Diamond Head, please make sure that you're in your safe place.
Yeah.
It's very difficult looking at the latest velocity scans to determine if this is more near the harbor, right? If this is more near the harbor and more of an over water concern, or if this is right near the I-10 corridor, because we've got rotation that's all the way into parts of northern Bay St. Louis. And this extends now all the way south of the Kill and Diamond Head. So if you're watching from Diamond Head, Bay St. Louis, and past Christian all the way to Long Beach. That's where we've got this brand new tornado warning. This is in effect all the way through 11:30 tonight. And I'm going to flip back over to the velocity product. Yeah, it is very difficult to analyze within this pixelation where the tornado may be, right? That's why we have a polygon to give us an idea of where this cell could track. So taking a bit more of an east-southeasterly trajectory, there it is, right along I-10 Diamond Head Drive on the south side of Diamond Head, right near Cocoa Street. This is moving now. You can see that latest scan that just came in a bit more towards the east-southeast. So let me pull up some geographical viewpoints here on that area. This is the Jordan River Coastal Preserve. There's a big camp house, the Camp House Diamond Head, that's right south of I-10. Crawfish Max Diamond Head is right there as well. So this is about to move over the harbor closer towards Grassy Point. So thankfully, as it moves into this area, less generally population over water, obviously, but folks that are watching in Bay St. Louis, this is just north of you. You're on the southern periphery of this warning. And then again, as this continues east-southeast, moving its way towards possibly past Christian and Long Beach. And again, we want to echo, Derek, that this, in addition to having the possibility of a tornado, the biggest concern is without a doubt the wind speeds, right? Wind speeds tonight have been the big concern from the get-go, but these embedded tornadoes can create an uptick, right, in wind speeds and wind velocities that can knock down trees, cause power outages. So if you're in these areas, Bay St. Louis, especially in Diamond Head, all the way to past Christian, stay in that safe place, away from all of the windows. We've seen a lot of tree debris coming down within some of these storms tonight that have already caused over 55,000 power outages across the state. Over 12,000 customers in just parts of the North Shore, including Tangipahoa, Washington, and St. Tammany parishes. So these have a history of causing power outages. I hope, fingers crossed, that you don't lose power. But if you do, we will be continuing to stream as long as we're on the air with these breaking updates from us here at WDSU. There's a look, again, at where we've got the strongest indication of rotation. Anything new, Derek, from National Weather Service chat about that cell?
No, not on that cell, but they are reporting, at least I'm getting more info coming in from Pearl River County Emergency Management. We were watching, remember, we were watching those strong thunderstorms coming in to Pearl River County and Hancock County, and now they are saying that about 2,100 customers are currently without power over there. So this is just a widespread power outage event that we have right now with this strong line of thunderstorms that continue to advance east, and not just the power outages. We've been tracking the downed trees as well, and just debris here that's been flying around with this strong line that's been advancing its way towards the east.
Yeah,
and we still have
statewide now over 65,000 customers statewide.
Crazy,
so definitely still seeing the big uptick in power outages. They've been sporadic in spots, more numerous on the North Shore. Again, latest update is we've got a tornado warning in effect for the far eastern part of Hancock County, moving into Harrison County. Folks that are watching in Diamond Head, past Christian, Bay St. Louis. Greatest rotation right now is right behind me. This is, again, just north of Bay St. Louis. You can see these pixels of green. This top bar here at the top of your screen shows you where we've got moderate, strong, or extreme rotation. Most of the cells tonight have exhibited moderate areas of rotation, occasionally strong. We had one or two cells that were in parts of the North Shore earlier, right near Roseland, that had some pretty wicked velocities, Derek. But this one, a little bit weaker, but still a quick spin-up tornado is possible.
Scott, we're going to transition and send things over to Chantel Davis, who's live currently on the North Shore in Hammond. And Chantel, good evening to you. It's been very, very busy here on the North Shore. A lot of reports coming in with trees down, power outages. What are you seeing and what are you learning out there right now?
Yeah, a lot of things happening here on the North Shore. So I am on Crapanzano Road here. I'm actually not too far from beside me. It says North Air Heating and Cooling. So we're in this area, and behind me there's some trees down right now. I would say this huge tree here is down along, it's tangled inside some wire here. There are crews out here that are ready to remove the debris and make sure that they clear this road here. And it's near Canino Road, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And so they're here right now. They're ready to get this stuff off the road. A few ways down, there's more power lines. Actually, when we were driving, we had to realize, oh, we're right under a power line. So we had to make sure we got ourselves into a safe spot. But this is just one of the areas that's seeing some of the debris on the road with these large trees. There's other areas across Tangipahoa Parish that have debris that looks just like this, or, you know, a lot of trees down on the road. So we have been checking those out as well this evening. On our way here, you know, the rain was just a downpour. We could barely see. I would say that it just picked up a little while ago, because at first it kind of died down a little bit, but it just picked up. But on our way here, like I said, we couldn't see anything as we were driving. We had to pull over. We had to go into a gas station to take cover. So there's been a lot of things happening over here. We came from St. Tammany and we drove up here to Tangipahoa Parish. And like I said, we are in front of some debris here on Crapanzano Road near the North Air Heating and Cooling. Crews are here to take care of this, and we'll be monitoring this all evening tonight.
Chantel, a huge shout out to all of the emergency workers that are obviously already out there trying to get the roadways clear. Chantel, I wanted to ask you, in terms of driving to the spot that you're at, did you see, you know, a lot of power outages, meaning that you couldn't see and it was very difficult for people to get out and about?
Do we still have her live shot?
Do we still have? Okay. Well, I would assume that the answer is probably yes, but Chantel's doing a great job giving us the visuals to be able to relay the information to y'all about why, you know, Derek has been on the air for close to 3.5 hours at this point, and we've been tracking this same line of storms, and the same thing that we keep echoing, and obviously Chantel's now our on-the-ground reporter on the North Shore, giving us a picture about widespread power outages in several communities, especially along the 55 corridor, Derek. And that's what we're still seeing the threat of. Those storms in Lafourche Parish as well as Terrebonne Parish, seeing a big uptick in lightning. I know that my folks that are watching right now from La Rose and Lockport, you're probably seeing the lightning in the distance. Big uptick in the lightning counter anywhere from Berg towards Point Aux Chenes. My folks that are watching in La Rose, Lockport, and Matthews, that's where we've seen a big uptick in the lightning counter. Still below severe limits there, but again, very gusty winds. I would say at least 35 to 45 miles per hour will be likely with this batch of storms. That's why we've already seen sporadic power outages in Lafourche, St. James, and St. Charles parishes. I want to give a quick update for folks that are watching in southern Mississippi. This is in Bay St. Louis with still a cell that's tornado warned for another 21 minutes. This is just south now of Diamond Head. Look how rapidly, Derek, this is remarkable, because I'm going to go back a couple of scans here, and you can see, here's a look. This was just about 15 minutes ago. These shades of green, that's moderate to occasionally strong areas of rotation or spin in the atmosphere. That's how we detect tornadoes being possible. But as I go through these last couple of scans, there's 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago to now. Now that is a trend that we like to see. A lot less of the green, still some pixels here and there, again, just south of I-10. But if you're watching from Bay St. Louis, we've got a big uptick, it looks like, in some moderate rotation right over Waveland. Still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Waveland. I would say winds that could gust 50 to 60 miles per hour within that. Let me go get a little pixel tracker here on. Yeah, there is a slight uptick in rotation again right near Waveland. I still think the primary risk there is for the gusty winds, possibly up to 60 miles per hour. But it is interesting, Derek, that we saw that uptick again near Claremont Harbor.
Yeah, and they're just going to continue to cycle up and down throughout the night, I'm thinking, too. But we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This one is also tornado possible tagged. It's for Jefferson, Lafourche, St. Charles, and Terrebonne Parish. And this storm is going to continue until, well, they do have the warning up, at least is what I'm trying to say, until midnight tonight. So 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible with this as well. From a radar standpoint, as I turn around, you see that polygon.
Yeah.
So moving into cutoff, just east of Lockport now, you got hammered by likely what was very strong winds and very heavy rain. Would not be a surprise if you maybe even saw a little bit of some hail with this too, as the reflectivity colors are pretty intense with this. And you see that warning stretches all the way down towards the coast. Golden Meadow, Cutoff, Lafitte. Watch out. You got a pretty long, or you've got a pretty strong line of thunderstorms moving into you right now. Seek shelter. This is not a tornado warning. It's tornado possible tagged. And we are going to be watching this very, very closely for more possible tornado warnings that might be going off here later tonight with this strong line as it continues to move east. So again, if you are in Cutoff, Golden Meadow, Lafitte here with the severe thunderstorm warning, make sure to seek shelter immediately and stay away from windows in case some of these might try to spin up very quickly, like what we've been mentioning here throughout the course of the evening. Now going into tonight, some of these thunderstorms do have history of producing some of these very quick spin-ups of tornadoes, leading to tornado warnings and even confirmed tornado warnings. So that's what we've been following here. A lot of them producing damage and power outages here so far throughout the night. So we still have a long night here yet to go. The South Shore, the Bayou, and the coast, all now starting to get into the action of severe weather, hence why we do have that severe thunderstorm warning up here right now.
Yeah, and Derek, you can kind of clearly see on that velocity image, right? Yeah. It kind of looks like a butter knife.
Yeah.
You know, it just looks like it's slicing through parts of southeast Louisiana, right? You can see these bright shades of red. So the radar, it was recently moved to Hammond, right? And when we're looking at our storm velocity product, in this instance, red indicates winds that are moving away from the radar. So the radar site in Hammond, located north of this headline bar that says storm winds, you can see kind of that butter knife that looks to be slicing through. That's the leading edge of this line of storms, and the radar is picking up on those gusty winds, especially in areas like Lockport and La Rose right now. Rocking and rolling. We've seen a big uptick in our lightning counter, and we've also seen the shading on this map. It's a little bit difficult to see, but as you get stronger winds, the red starts to be more of a reddish white kind of shade, and that indicates stronger winds at both ground level and aloft. So potentially thousands of feet above the ground. So we're seeing those wind speeds increase in the wake of these storms. And right as we saw that uptick is when we saw the newly issued severe thunderstorm warning. So for my folks that are watching in Galliano, this includes you all the way down lower parts of Lafourche. You're now included within this all the way down to Golden Meadow. So Port Fourchon is Grand Isle. You're still excluded from the warning at this point in time, but for most of central and south central Lafourche Parish, near Cutoff, lower Lafourche, down the bayou, that's where you've got the biggest concern for gusty winds, possibly in excess of 60 miles per hour. Further north, Belle Chase, you're barely excluded from this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some gusty winds right now in Belle Chase, Lafitte, and Jean Lafitte, and the Barataria Basin. We've got some pretty wicked storms about to move in. You can see them here, kind of rolling off kind of the north side of Cutoff. There's the leading edge moving out of Lac des Almonds, moving into the basin there. Lafitte, you're next in line with winds possibly above 60 miles per hour. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the power outages start to go up there. And it looks like we've now got over 1,600 power outages being reported in Lafourche Parish, as well as about 1,000 customers in St. John the Baptist and in St. James Parish. So that's kind of the telltale sign. When you start to see nearby parishes that the line of storms has passed through and you see that power outage counter go up, that means that, hey, maybe the winds are
strong,
yeah, rattling some of our power lines, or maybe downing a small tree limb, or a tree limb. All it takes, we know, y'all, we've got infrastructure that if a tree limb, we have so many beautiful lush trees, if they fall on the power lines, you can easily see power outages. So quick round robin.
I was just going to say, we got good news coming in too. The tornado warning for the storm that we were just watching up there in Harrison and Hancock County has now been allowed to expire.
Great.
Which is great news now. So we don't have any tornado warnings in effect for the viewing area here at WDSU. But again, just like what Scott and I have been mentioning, we're really focusing on what's happening in the bayou and near the coast here too, with this strong line of showers and thunderstorms, or really just thunderstorms really, that are moving east now. So again, we're going to be watching out for very heavy rain and very strong winds that continue to advance towards the east. But Scott, at least the North Shore, they look like they're in the clear for severe weather. There's more rain coming in for them, but I think, you know, a lot of the nasty severe weather is well east of them. And now we can say pretty much the same thing for South Mississippi. So our attention is really just going to be focusing on South Shore, south towards the bayou and the coast here at this time.
No, and Derek, that's exactly what I was going to say. The all clear for folks that are watching on the North Shore that maybe were obviously rattled with the amount of storm action that we've been dealing with. My folks in Hammond, Ponchatoula, Covington, Mandeville, Tallahassee, Folsom. We've seen a lot of thunderstorms that were strong to severe on the North Shore tonight, but the all clear for the North Shore has been given. So if you're up saying, Scott, are there any more storms that are in the wake of this first line? Do we have a second complex? No. You are good to go. I hope that the power, if you are without power and streaming with us online, hopefully your power comes back on quickly. Where we've got the biggest concern now, two areas that are kind of the most the biggest problem spots on the map this evening, and that's now into Harrison County primarily, and moving into Jackson County of southern Mississippi. That's where we've got the big bad storms with the bowing of the line now moving all the way into parts of Mobile. But for our viewing area, the biggest concern now, Derek, is this big uptick in both lightning and in wind velocities for parts of the bayou parishes. And now starting to edge its way into sections of Plaquemines Parish. This is just south of Belle Chase, but for Barataria, Jean Lafitte, and really, for my folks that are watching in Galliano and Cutoff and La Rose, that's where we've got some, I mean, these rainfall rates are through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, they're thankfully not very long-lived, but they are very intense.
Absolutely, especially where we have that strong line coming into areas like Lafitte and Cutoff and Golden Meadow, where, again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for you until midnight tonight. So there you can see the storm winds, the reds. I know we're pretty far from the radar, but it kind of gives you an idea of how strong some of these winds are regardless, where you see some of those brighter shades of red here popping off, getting closer now towards the lower coast near La Rose and Cutoff here and Bellarmine, and also near Galliano too. We're looking at some very strong winds that are about to come in towards your area. So yeah, they're continuing that severe thunderstorm warning now for Harrison. That's well east of us now. But just to give you an idea, this is what we're covering here right now for you at WDSU, is that the tornado warnings for our viewing area are over. But we're watching this one very closely in case we might have something that might pop off. Because remember, it's been this way throughout the course of the evening and tonight, with these thunderstorms just cycling up and down within this very strong line here coming in, where we have a couplet that spins up and then it spins back down. And that's why we have that tornado tagged severe thunderstorm warning that's currently in effect. But yeah, Scott, like you were mentioning here with this line, I'm sure the rainfall rates are very, very impressive. I mean, I won't be surprised if we're seeing like, what, 6, 7, 8 maybe inches an hour coming in right now towards this area. So just watch out, be careful.
And what's really good news is that thankfully these are moving at 40+ miles per hour in a lot of cases, because we know it only takes 1 inch in a short period of time to start causing the ponding of water on the roadways, especially after we had 1 inch to 2+ inches of rain just a few days ago. So we do have the flood advisory that remains in effect for possible street flooding in a spot like Kenner, New Orleans, Metairie, all the way into Chalmette and Araby. That's where we've got the flood advisory. So a street flood advisory, it's street flooding possible. I think it's short-lived, mainly in those low-lying spots. So if you're in the New Orleans metro, the severe storms at the moment are just south of us. The metro area proper is not included within this severe thunderstorm warning. However, the severe thunderstorm warning that we've got all the way until midnight, that includes Lower Lafourche, Jefferson, and for Plaquemines Parish. So for Lafitte, cutoff, right near cutoff right now is where we've got that leading edge. And I've got a lot of my weather watchers in lower parts of Lafourche, and I'm sure you can vouch for us that the rain is coming down in buckets. But again, as we flip over to the rainfall, I'm going to show the past 12 hours. You can see a lot of areas, 1 to generally 2 inches of rain. We had a couple of hot spots closer to 3 inches near Baton Rouge. So these rainfall amounts, all of the greens that you're seeing on this map, this is generally beneficial and needed rainfall. We're in an extreme drought in parts of Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish. So I know my farmers that are watching, and for my gardeners in parts of Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish, we're saying, yes, we need the rain. We just don't want the severe storms.
And, you know, speaking of that drought, too, we're going to have a brand new drought monitor come out tomorrow, but it's not really going to include what we have in here today. Now, the one that comes in after that, we'll start to see a little bit more improvements. But remember, too, Scott, I know we had that last event that came in here across southeast Louisiana, and I'm sure that is going to be included within tomorrow's drought monitor. So maybe we see a little bit of some improvements, and then once we see this data being analyzed into the next set of drought monitor indexes coming out for the following week, we'll probably see some improvements there. But really the main impacts that we have to keep an eye out right now is still the severe thunderstorm warning. We're not quite done with the severe weather threat just yet. It's getting lower, it's decreasing, but the threat is still there to why we are still on the air right now. As long as, especially this is still tagged as tornado possible, we're going to continue to be here since we're still on the air here. Might as well keep going for just a little while longer. But again, cutoff, Golden Meadow, Lafitte, south of the metro here, a lot of lightning, very heavy rain, heavy rainfall rates that could lead to some flash flooding possibly, or at least a localized street flooding. That could be an issue too, especially in some of those low-lying spots. And of course, we're just keeping a close eye on to see if we do have anything that may pop up in terms of tornado coverage. And
pretty
look
remarkable.
At that too.
You can really just see the whole entire. Isn't that remarkable? How you can just see the leading edge. I put it in the 3D volumetric view so we could see. Typically, when you see these really towering, billowing storms, that's when you get the very heavy rainfall rates, when you're getting just torrential downpours. And did an estimate, Derek, you were spot on, 5.6 inches is the rainfall rate presently right near cutoff. So 5.6 inches of rain not going to fall because this is moving much quicker than that hourly rainfall rate. But we're seeing some torrential rain and the possibility, in addition, when you see these kind of towering storms in the 3D volumetric view, that's how you can actually enhance, Derek, the winds coming down to ground level. When you get this kind of cold air aloft as the rain comes down, it helps to flush the winds down to the surface. So I think that's kind of what we've been seeing. As I put this back in velocity mode, I want to show folks what I was talking about. There's Hammond, all right? Here's Hammond on the far north side of your screen. That's where the radar picture is located. And you can see this bar here. Red, in this instance, indicates winds that are flowing away from the radar site. So right now, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning, which means winds in excess of 59 plus miles per hour are possible, if not likely. The severe weather is ongoing, and there is a possible tornado tag. This is something the National Weather Service did a few years back to give people kind of a heads up. Hey, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Take this seriously, but know that you could see this upgraded to a tornado warning, so be prepared to act if that does happen. So again, right now, leading edge of this line of storms, wicked in Lafitte and Barataria. My folks that are watching in Cutoff as well as LaRose, and very shortly in Galliano. Winds that have a history of downing trees, causing sporadic power outages. I'm sure tomorrow, Derek, the trampolines, we will get some pictures of the trampolines that have been lofted. Those, if they're not tied down, those things, I mean, fun, but definitely something that we always see. They get picked up and tossed in situations like this.
It's going to be a long cleanup effort, I'm sure, especially in Tangipahoa Parish and really just all across the North Shore, where we've had a lot of confirmed reports of either damage or debris being around, and that is something that's just going to be taking some time, but I'm sure we'll get that cleaned up pretty quickly. There is a look at some of those pictures coming in. Again, this is taken from the North Shore. I believe this is again from Tangipahoa Parish, where we have gotten numerous reports from you all out there, from our precious viewers out there, staying safe while they're sending this in. So that's very important. But we have been looking at lots of damage being photographed and reported to us here at WDSU, with trees being down, lawn furniture being tossed or destroyed or damaged, and plenty of trees here, like I said, also being down as well. Look at those two big trees here that were down here on the North Shore. I believe this is in Tangipahoa Parish too, covering the roadways up there. And we just had that live report from Chantal Davis, our North Shore Bureau reporter, reporting the same thing, with trees down, power outages, and also reports of debris. And there's the video coming in from the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office with the trees down the road. That's Highway 51 north of Roseland. You guys have taken the huge brunt of tonight's severe weather threat. And the good thing is for you is that really it's pretty much done. We're just looking at some, lingering showers and rain that's coming in right now that might put a damper here on the cleanup effects. And that's why I'm saying going into tomorrow will be a much better day once we get all the nasty weather out of here to allow the cleanup efforts to really begin to ramp up and begin. But our main concern is down towards the coast in the Bayou, Lafitte, Cutoff, and Lockport. Heading down towards Golden Meadow, we're looking at a pretty strong line of thunderstorms moving through. But Scott, it doesn't look as impressive as what it was here earlier. Would you agree? Yeah, there it was here. And you see how strong it was, and now it's kind of tapered off here a little bit as it moved east.
I think what we're seeing yet again is kind of that outflow boundary. Yeah. And fancy word for saying the storms are gusting out. And we're seeing gusty winds, but we're not seeing that well-pronounced bow echo. There's evidence that it's been trying excuse me, to develop between Lafitte and Barataria and get a little bit more of that concave shape, or like a backward C using the palm of your hand. That's when you start to see that sort of shape. That's more indicative of the damaging wind threat. But I will say, Derek, one great thing that I just noticed as well. First of all, big shout out to all of our linemen. I'm sure that there are people that are already out there working to get the power back on. Power outage numbers peaked at 67,000 statewide, but we've already seen that drop. That number is now down to 60,000. So crews are already out there trying to get this mess cleaned up in spots that we've given the all clear. So for areas that are now seeing the worst of the weather move out, I'm looking at you, North Shore, Baton Rouge. Yeah, there's still some occasional moderate to pockets of heavy rain from Ponchatoula over towards Goodby. My folks that are watching near Lutcher, one or two lightning strikes still near Vacherie. But all in all, the worst of the weather is now located in south central parts of Lafourche, so heading down the bayou and in coastal sections of Terrebonne. It's still raining pretty good right now in Houma and Berg, but as you go south for Dulac over towards Cocodrie, that's where we're seeing the worst of the weather now into coastal zones of Terrebonne Parish, parts of south central Plaquemines Parish, and still, hey, my folks that are watching near Wyclosky, Shell Beach, over to Violet and Braithwaite, we've still got a pretty good amount of heavy rain and storms, but below severe limits in St. Bernard as well as northern Plaquemines, Belle Chase. You're not included within the severe warning. The worst of the weather moving through south central Lafourche Parish, and the really wicked storms, as I zoom out a little bit, are now just north of Mobile Bay. That's the complex, Derek, that went right through the North Shore and southern Mississippi, and heard from a lot of folks that were watching in Bay St. Louis. Gusty winds, but thankfully that tornado warning that we were tracking about 10 minutes ago was allowed to. Did they cancel it early, Derek, or did they just let it expire?
They let it expire, I believe, but yes. So really, all those nasty tornadoes that we had is now well east of us here. Yep. But we're still watching this one. I still believe that I think that is still considered a tornado possible tag with this until midnight tonight. But the good news is is that we have been watching and we've been witnessing that this looks like it's cycling down here. So I'm wondering if maybe they might go ahead and cancel this a little bit earlier than midnight, or if they're going to continue to let this go until midnight. We shall see. But regardless, a lot of heavy rain, as we mentioned, and very strong gusty winds that continue to come up and down the bayou right now. There's a look at the metro. No warnings for you, with the exception of this aerial flood advisory that it covers the entire New Orleans metro area, including downtown. But you see the heavier rain is mainly south of downtown towards Marrero and Estelle. There's Jean Lafitte, and also towards Augusta, Gloria, Bel Air, Alliance, Lafitte. Yep. And just north of Ironton, really just that whole cluster of heavy rain that continues to make its way east. Look at La Rose and Cutoff, very heavy rain, and I'm sure you're getting some gusty winds there right now, and that's moving closer towards you if you're in Galliano, so I see you down there too. And then near Burbridge as well, very heavy rain and gusty winds that continue to move towards your area here too at the moment. But again, good news, we don't have a tornado warning. We're just still watching this cell closely in case something does pop off, unless we do have a crazy tornado warning that pops up. But right now, it's just something that we're just watching here for you at WDSU. And there's a little bit of some lightning that's been popping off here too, I've noticed as well.
Yeah, and Derek, I would say I was watching the latest wind reports from Galliano. Nothing extreme yet. They're kind of right on that southern edge of the line. I've been kind of watching to see, hey, maybe we get a ground truth wind estimate for what this band of storms is doing. But we didn't get a report from Homa out of the regional airport there. And we also have been seeing winds generally less than 35 miles per hour at Galliano at this moment. But I would expect that as this line moves into Galliano, that's when we'll see the winds start to spike, kind of right as the brunt or the leading edge of this line of storm. So right now, anywhere from Chauvin to Dulac, that's where we are really seeing the heavy rain come down. All the way down the bayou, we need the rain, by the way. Extreme drought conditions. Very top-tier drought in place for much of Terrebonne and Lafourche. So look, the drought doctor ordered this rain, but we just don't want to be dealing with the severe threat at the same time. There has been a little uptick. I see what you're talking about, Derek, of the lightning counter over the metro. Right. But again, still below severe limits. I think wind speeds, let's go get a clock at the airport. I believe the airport gusted to 35. Gusting right now to 28. We had a gust, 28 was just the gust that we had. So below severe limits, well below severe limits in the metro area. We kind of split the gap right over the metro. We've seen some locally heavy rain, but truthfully, the strongest of the storms have been just south of the metro now, and they were especially potent on the North Shore. So as we continue to track this, Derek, you know, we're going to let this last warning, I feel like, play itself out, but I'm feeling much better that we're not seeing any more well-pronounced rotation on the South Shore. But I want to give viewers a quick update as we show you a couple more pictures that we've gotten in from across the area that this line of storms has knocked out power to over 60,000 customers in the state. We had a lot of reports of downed trees, some of them larger trees on the North Shore that have been blocking roadways. So hey, if you don't have to, wait until the sun comes up tomorrow morning and evaluate the situation before you head out and about. Emergency crews are already out responding to the trees over roadways. Of course, it's dark, so it's going to take some time to evaluate just how much damage we've got. But a lot of customers without power. This is in Tangipahoa Parish. A lot of scenes like that where, I mean, I'm looking at that thinking, thank goodness that missed that car. It looked like just barely. This is why we've been encouraging folks not to travel if you do not have to tonight. Emergency crews are doing, look at this. I mean, we know in Louisiana how to respond. I'm always so impressed. And it goes without saying that we know how to help our neighbors when things like this happen. Trees knocked down in Tickfaw as well as in Hammond. We saw a big uptick in power outages in Tangipahoa Parish, but we know how to clean up, and thankfully it appears that the worst of the damage has been primarily, Derek, tree related. You know, we've seen some minor structural damage, and we're really going to keep our fingers crossed that people stay off the roadways tonight. Heed those warnings from local officials that say we do have power lines as well as trees down over roadways. This is where, look, if you're going fast and you come up on a scene like this, you may not have any street lights, right, to see what damage is out there. So you can see the blinking blue lights there. Please just use your noggin, use your brain tonight. Try not to travel until the sun comes up, when you can at least see if there's any downed trees in front of you, because if you come up on one of those trees knocked down, it's very easy to find yourself hydroplaning with the rain and the water on the roadways too. So please just be safe tonight and avoid traveling if you can. This is the good news about our coverage here at WDSU. We are winding down with our severe weather threat area wide. Derek has been on the air continuously since 7 o'clock. So I am very thankful to have you walking everyone through this threat, Derek. And, you know, what we're seeing now, we're not done with it, but at least only one active severe thunderstorm warning in our viewing area for the Bayou and River parishes.
Right. And so right now, we're just keeping a close eye on that severe warning polygon towards Lafitte, Cutoff, and Golden Meadow. Again, still under that severe thunderstorm warning until midnight tonight. Gusty winds, very heavy rain, and just watch out here for possible isolated locations that could involve some street flooding. But the good news here is this doesn't look overly impressive as compared to when it was first warned before. But regardless, we're still keeping an eye on it as it continues to track its way towards the east. There's the metro here in New Orleans. Nothing for you except the aerial flood advisory, so we're watching for the possibility of flooding here for you. Now, Scott, we are getting some more information coming in from Washington Parish. Our first damage reports coming in across Washington Parish, just southwest of Franklinton, have reported that they have received some reports of windows that were blown out of a business in southern parts of Franklinton. They think that was a possible tornado that blew by there. So, yeah, you know, and that's what we've been watching on the North Shore. It was just, you know, these signatures that have been cycling up and down across the North Shore into South Mississippi. We haven't really seen that here towards the South Shore, the coast, and the bayou spots. But regardless, though, we have power outages pretty much everywhere, including south of the lake. So this has just really just been a very widespread event here.
And you said that the windows that were
it was just near,
out was in Franklinton?
Near Franklinton. Near Franklinton. Just southwest of Franklinton is where we saw some windows that were blown out. And that makes sense because, you know, we had that line that moved through, and we had a pretty strong, you know, rotation couplet as well near there too. I mean, you know, there's a lot of confirmation.
I was going right back.
In.
Look at that. Look at that right there. You can clearly see on that path, and it's a little bit difficult, but I went back, and you are really spot on with that, Derek, because as we go back in time, this was at 9:15. Look at that track, right? If we had just now from Washington Parish a report, this was from several hours ago. You got to go back to about 9:15 to 9:30. You can see this sheer track, right? And for a lot of the cells right now, we've just had a lot of green, right? Green is only moderate indications of wind shear. But in this instance, look at that strong, really strong evidence of wind shear and rotation right through Franklinton. So that makes sense, Derek, that whether or not we had, you know, there could have easily been an embedded tornado within that, but a lot of straight line winds basically across parts of Washington and Tangipahoa Parish. So it's fascinating to see that. I want to go back and not confuse people, but that was a look at the earlier signature because we just got reports from Franklinton.
Yeah, and you see that very strong line that came in there just as you were pointing out just east of Franklinton. That was what moved through there. But again, this is the current radar. Currently 11:38, and we see that strong line of thunderstorms that continue down towards Lafitte Cutoff. It's approaching now towards the coast, getting closer towards Golden Meadow, where you're currently still under that severe thunderstorm warning. But look back to the west. Nothing is warned, but we're just looking at some rain that's moving east here now.
And Derek, we did just get a really important update from the Tangipahoa Parish school system that they will be delaying all schools for 2 hours tomorrow morning. That's great news, and I'm really happy to see that they made that decision, because what we've been seeing, especially across parts of the 55 corridor in Tangipahoa Parish, is numerous power outages. And what that means and what that tells me, based on all the viewer submitted photos that we've gotten, is that we've got a lot of trees that are on the roadways. So we need time for the emergency crews to be able to go out, evaluate what roads are blocked, how many people do we need to come remove said trees from the roadways in order to have people be able to get to the schools, right? So that buses can get kids to school. So brand new information that we just got from Tangipahoa Parish. All schools are operating with a 2-hour delay tomorrow morning. So 2 hours pushed back in the morning to allow them to assess the situation. Again, we've had over 10,000 power outages on the North Shore. So I think that was a really smart decision, just to be able to give the crews and the linemen and all emergency operations to get a better understanding of what damage. I mean, it's the middle of the night, right?
Exactly. And you know, Scott, this all comes as we're still getting more information coming in now from Washington Parish officials, who are now also saying that they have reports of a roof blown off of a florist shop in Franklinton. They're saying that's a possible tornado there as well. So that, again, that was that same strong line that came through the North Shore and rolled through Tangipahoa Parish and rolled through Washington Parish, and just a lot of damage has been done, along with numerous power outages with this thing too. So we have, let's see, we got more information coming in. They're saying that emergency management officials reported trees down on McNeil, Hanley Field, McNeil Road. That's in Pearl River County, Mississippi. They have canceled the tornado watch for some locations for Hancock, Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Murpaw, Pearl River, Mississippi, St. John the Baptist, and St. Tammany. However, if you are in Harrison, which is east of us, Jackson, Jefferson, so Jefferson, Lafourche, and Orleans, St. Bernard, St. Charles, and Terrebonne Parish, we're still under that tornado watch right now. So we're, and it's likely because of this cluster of thunderstorms that we're watching here currently, which does have the possibility to maybe produce a very quick spin up, but it's not as significant, or at least the environment is not as favorable as what it was here earlier on the North Shore. So if you're in Lafitte and Cutoff and Golden Meadow, watch out for very heavy rain and gusty wind that continues to move through here right now. And there you see the storm winds here too, where you see those brighter shades of red that currently are moving through. I'm sure there's some very gusty winds happening right there right now. In fact, just shy of 50 miles an hour north of Cutoff. But remember, I know the radar is kind of far away, so you might have to do the subtraction a little bit. Maybe not as strong as near 50, but regardless though, gusty wind coming in right now towards the bayou and lower coast, getting closer towards the coast.
But you know what's great about that, Derek, is that they are now below severe limits on the velocity scanner. So severe storms are 59+ miles per hour. That's when you start to see more trees that can be toppled over, more branches coming down, and even some minor structural damage. That's why severe thunderstorm warnings are issued at 59 or 60 miles per hour. So what I love to see is when we start to get these velocity numbers below the threshold of severe limits, because that would mean that this is our last severe thunderstorm warning. And the National Weather Service, kind of in agreement with what we've been noting, is that the velocities are coming down. That's why, Derek, I loved when you said it, we've started to see them pull back on the tornado watch that has been in effect for parts of the North Shore, Baton Rouge Metro, basically west of Kenner and west of Slidell. All of the tornado watches have been canceled or dropped early, I should say. But still a couple of problem spots, but all in all, a lot better than we were just a couple hours ago.
Absolutely. So yeah, maybe we can do just a quick radar tour here before we kind of get off here, because I know we got some programming, I'm sure, but I know kind of things are cycling down here a little bit. But you see down towards Lafitte and Cutoff and near just north of Golden Meadow, again, we're just watching for some very heavy rain that's moving in, some gusty winds at times here too. Do we have, no, I'm just hearing the printer there behind me, just watching, just see if we have anything come up. But there's that severe thunderstorm warning. And again, just a lot of heavy rain and gusty wind that continues to make its way towards the south here. Let's go to the North Shore, Scott, just to give a quick update on that. I know folks have been watching us here. A lot of us here are probably not able to watch this at the moment because of all the damage and power outages. But if you still do have power and you are still watching us, you're just looking at some light to moderate rain that's currently moving through you right now. And also looks like South Mississippi getting a bit of a break. We saw a lot of heavy weather here in terms of gusty winds and tornadic activity, but there's a more light rain back to the west that's beginning to move through. Much needed rain though here at the moment because much of southeast Louisiana, or just all of southeast Louisiana, is still in a drought. There's a look at the metro. Very heavy rain moving into New Orleans, Marrero, Estelle, Gentilly, just near Harahan, Belle Chase, Augusta. Wow, looking at very heavy rain. That's that very strong cell that we're still watching here down to the south and near Lafitte here, and also towards Belle Chase. And also near Cutoff, we're watching the very heavy rain that's moving through here too. Eventually this is going to fall down towards Lower Plaquemines here within the next hour or so. So Cutoff, Golden Meadow, watching out for some very heavy rain. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for you until midnight tonight, but they are, I'm just looking at some more information here. Nothing really that's, mind-boggling at the moment, though, right now, Scott. Just pretty much what we've been saying over and over.
Yeah, Derek, I'm feeling confident that, if we need to break back in,
sure,
we will do so. But for the New Orleans metro area, the heaviest of the rain is starting to subside. We've still got some moderate to heavy rain with that aerial flood advisory that remains in effect. So if you can, I would say area-wide, stay off the roadways tonight. Ponding of water, definitely an issue, and still the ongoing severe weather threat for lower parts of Lafourche Parish, all the way down the bayou, getting closer towards my folks in Leeville, all the way down to Grand Island, Port Fourchon. That's where we've got the line of storms that has yet to pass through. Belle Chase, moderate to heavy rain into Ironton. Also for folks in Delacroix and Hopedale, we've got the heaviest rain moving through lower parts now of Terrebonne Parish, north of the lake. Light to moderate rain, and I think, Derek, as we start to see our severe weather threat subside, tomorrow is not a WDSU First Warning Weather Alert Day, so that is great news. And just a great job tonight walking everyone through. I hope that everyone continues to stay safe. Use your noggin, stay off the roads, and just be smart. A lot of spots, like we just mentioned, Tangipahoa Parish schools, 2-hour delay. I would expect other schools to possibly follow as we assess in Washington Parish and St. Tammany Parish that have been particularly hard hit. So we're going to have continuous updates online throughout the night.
Definitely going to be a long night ahead as far as the recovery efforts, but I'm sure we already got the power report starting to come back, which is good.
Yeah.
So once we get into the daytime hours tomorrow, everything begins to improve. Weather-wise, we'll be in much better shape. But right now, I think we can both agree that the severe weather threat is beginning to subside now. I know we have that severe thunderstorm warning that continues until midnight tonight, but I think what we'll go ahead and do, Scott, if you agree, I think we can kind of wrap things up here just for now, unless we do have another significant advisory or tornado warning that does begin to pop up. But I think for now, much of southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi, just looking at some light to moderate rain that's going to continue to move throughout the course of tonight. As Scott was saying, be careful on the roadways, watch for downed trees or power lines, especially if you're on the North Shore. That's where we've seen the most activity. So I think for now, Scott, thank you so much again for coming in and tag teaming with me.
Derek, same to you.
Appreciate your help. And
please go get some water.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to go ahead
us.
and do that right now. So we'll go ahead and send it back to programming. And again, if anything pops up tornado warning wise, we'll be here first to let you know. Back to programming.